Chapter 947. As the 7-day deadline approached, Jiang Tian also reached the final stage of his breakthrough. The wood-type spirit qi in the whirling divine tree was too vast. It was continuously converted into wood-type true essence, pushing Jiang Tian to the 5th, 6th, 7th, 9th level of the foundation establishment level. Rumble. In the void, a huge vortex appeared out of thin air. It was 1,000 feet long, like a heavenly canopy, enveloping the entire Crimson Lightning Mountain. The whirlpool was very deep. Countless dragon-like thunders, tide-like spirit qi, and colorful spirit qi were all pulled into the whirlpool by a huge force, gathering towards Jiang Tian's dantian. That's terrifying. Is this the breakthrough of the foundation establishment level? It's even more terrifying than a golden core overlord's breakthrough. Bai Zai's eyes almost popped out of their sockets in disbelief. At this point, the true essence in Jiang Tian's body had reached an extremely dense level. His dantian had expanded by more than 10 times, and the heptagold metal nuggets were like fertile fields. They were gradually piled up into mountains and peaks. The mystic water lake had also become a lot bigger. White waves surged into the sky and water vapor filled the air. There were clouds floating above the lake. There were even purple thunderbolts. This was the result of Jiang Tian's purple lightning eyes being nourished by his dantian. If there was enough nourishment, Jiang Tian could even turn into a thunder physique unknowingly. Beside the mystic water lake, there was a whirling divine tree. Its giant crown was like a canopy of clouds. Countless branches and leaves reached deep into the sky. They were full of vitality and green. The green divine tree's true essence was filled with a chaotic energy, as if it could hold up the sky and create a universe. This whirling divine tree is really powerful. Its spirit core pushed me to the 9th level of the foundation establishment level. Jiang Tian felt that there was an endless amount of energy in his body, as if he could lift the sky with one hand and tear the earth apart with his bare hands. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but reveal a hint of joy. Ever since he returned, the spirit qi on earth had been thin and he hadn't felt this powerful for a long time. At this moment, Jiang Tian's aura had reached its peak. He was like an indomitable giant that could pluck the stars and grab the moon from the sky. It was as if he could destroy a planet with a single finger and shatter the heavens with a single palm. Facing this terrifying energy, Yi Tianren and the old dragon were already pale. Even Bai Zai's scalp went numb and his heart almost exploded. This energy was comparable to that of the sect master of the heavens. Li Longyuan and the old golden core cultivators above him were even trash. After I suppress my cultivation to the 3rd level of the foundation establishment level, I'll break through in seclusion. Jiang Tian's eyes narrowed. His momentum, which had reached its peak, suddenly shrank like a meteor and fell to the 3rd level of foundation establishment. After a few breaths, his energy level of the qi cultivation of the heavens. In the end, Jiang Tian was silent like the vast earth, the majestic Mount Tai, and the eternal sky. He had reached a stage where his true essence was calm and his divine aura was restrained. Scary. This kid is scary. He obviously has the ability to kill Li Longyuan, but I can't see it. Bai Zai looked at Jiang Tian with more and more fear. He's obviously playing dirty, pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger. Who said the people on Earth are easy to mess with? Li Longyuan, that idiot, provoked this kid. He's digging his own grave. This kid was so sinister. This time, Li Longyuan and the experts from the Stellar Sky Palace would be played to death by Jiang Tian. In fact, the entire Stellar Sky domain would definitely be turned upside down by Jiang Tian. Little Bai, what's the situation outside? Jiang Tian opened his eyes and asked slowly. Bai Zai's face twitched. He smiled and said, "The whole world is your enemy." Hee, is there anyone who doesn't want to kill you? The whole world is my enemy? Jiang Tian stood up and smiled disdainfully. His eyes shot out bolts of lightning as he said disdainfully, "It's just a bunch of ants." You're just a bunch of ants. Are you worthy of being my enemy? I'll let this world see how I can suppress an entire domain and crush thousands of sections. On the 25th of March 2012, Jiang Tian left the Crimson Thunder Mountains, crossed the Demon Cave Mountains, crossed the Desolate City, and pointed his sword at Qingqiu Mountain. Qingqiu Mountain was located outside the star capital. It was more than 10,000 feet high, and the mountain rocks were majestic and steep. It was like a giant dragon lying across the land, majestic and endless. The peaks of the Demon Cave Mountains could not compare to it. The Qingqiu Palace was above the clouds. It was like an immortal's palace, overlooking the entire star capital. It was the location of this gathering. At this time, countless cultivators came from all over the stellar sky domain. Some were on flying swords, some were riding spirit birds, and some were in carriages. At this time, Qingqiu Mountain was crowded. Not only were there leaders of major sects and cities, but there were also members of aristocratic families, gangs, organizations, and other forces. It had turned into a boiling sea, filled with cultivators. At this time, a young woman was supporting a dying middle-aged man. They stepped on a flying sword and appeared on a peak of Qingqiu Mountain called Horse Rest Ridge. "Dad, do you think Kong Teichu will come this time?" The young woman was Chu Yunxiu. She held Chu Yonghui and asked with a serious expression, "I'm afraid he won't dare to come." Chu Yonghui, whose dantian was shattered and who had lost all his cultivation, looked defeated. He said with hatred, "If he comes, won't he be crushed by the heroes of the world? Look at how many experts Fang Zhufeng has sent. It's an inescapable net. If he comes, he'll have wings." There were too many cultivators participating in the Qingqiu Mountain gathering this time. So far, almost 10,000 people had arrived. The important figures participating in the gathering were all gathered at Fang Zhufeng, the main peak of Qingqiu Mountain, around the Life and Death Ring. The Life and Death Ring, also known as the Life and Death Ring, was a huge square with a radius of a few hundred acres. It was engraved with ancient Dao patterns. Even golden core experts would have a hard time destroying it. In the original Qingqiu Mountain gathering, every year, experts would fight on the Life and Death Ring to settle their grudges. Those who performed well would even be able to join the Heavenly Star Palace. In that hall, the masters of the Heavenly Star Palace, huge cities, and large sects were basically entrenched. They were all discussing the major events of the Heavenly Star Small World. On the other peaks, there were some small and medium-sized sects, gangs, and itinerant cultivators. They were not qualified to enter Fang Zhufeng and could only watch from afar. Horse Rest Ridge was where the cultivators parked their spirit beasts and spirit birds. After all, the cultivation world had a strict hierarchy. Fang Zhufeng was not small and could accommodate 10,000 people, but not everyone could go there. Moreover, these spirit beasts and spirit birds also needed to be fed and taken care of by someone. Yes, his cultivation has already dissipated. Chu Yunxiu said with hatred. However, he's now with the great demon Bai Zhe. His nature is terrible. If we spread this news, he'll definitely become a target of public criticism. At this moment, she had completely forgotten that just a few days ago, she was still proud to be Bai Zhe's disciple and servant. Yes, if we report this to Palace Master Li Longyuan, it'll also be a great merit. Chu Yonghui gnashed his teeth in hatred and sighed repeatedly. What a pity! Kong Teichu took over the magpie's nest. Our Jade Well Peak has fallen into the hands of Kong Teichu and has no status to speak of. Now, we're not even qualified to enter Fang Zhufeng. Just as the two were discussing, suddenly, there was a rumble. Huge chariots filled with treasure light covered the sky and the sun. They soared into the sky and landed on Horse Rest Ridge. These chariots made of precious metal all had huge white phoenixes pulling them in front. Dao patterns and runes were inscribed on them, complemented by complicated and exquisite bird, beast, insect, and fish decorations. Inlaid with countless gems, they were dazzling and looked incomparably luxurious. Moreover, from the chariot, a wave of the city lord's aura was tyrannical and domineering, spreading in all directions. It seemed to be surging with momentum and had the upper hand. Its wild wave city lord Hongyuan and his son Renwang. Some cultivators were forced to stagger back from the pressure and exclaimed, "We pay our respects to the wild wave city lord." When the tall and sturdy Zeng Hongyuan appeared, many cultivators kowtowed and trembled as if they were seeing a god. After all, Zeng Hongyuan was also a peak foundation establishment powerhouse with extraordinary strength. He could control a huge city and had the qualifications to speak directly with Li Longyuan. Chu Yonghui was overjoyed when he saw this. He pulled Chu Yunxiu forward quickly and said, "Back then, the Zeng family had shares in my Jade Well company. Moreover, Zeng Hongyuan thought very highly of you back then and even proposed marriage to me." He rushed forward excitedly and shouted, "City Lord Zeng, this time you have to make a decision for me." "Brother Chu, you're here." Zeng Hongyuan only nodded slightly from afar. The other generals who were originally blocking Chu Yonghui all made way. Chu Yonghui came forward and kowtowed, crying and complaining about Jiang Tian's evil deeds. Chu Yunxiu also had a proper bearing and bowed. Behind Zeng Hongyuan, his son Zeng Renwang pulled Chu Yunxiu's soft little hand and smiled slyly. "Yunxiu, you've suffered. Don't worry. My Zeng family will definitely not sit by and do nothing. I will definitely kill Kong Te Chu and avenge you." Now that the Chu family had lost Jade Well Peak, of course Chu Yunxiu wasn't worthy of him. But it was enough for her to be a concubine. Moreover, with this status, the Zeng family would be able to take over Jade Well Peak. It would be reasonable and worth it. Now, all the major forces were rubbing their palms in anticipation of Demon Cave Mountain. They were just waiting to kill Kong Te Chu and snatch it. He said disdainfully, "This bastard's cultivation is already gone. He's a cripple worse than a dog." "Oh, so this is the peak lord of Jade Well Peak, Chu Yonghui. So, he's also a foundation establishment powerhouse, a hero who ruled over a region. And Jiang Tian made him lose all his cultivation and property. How pitiful. This Kong Te Chu is really ruthless and scary." When everyone heard Chu Yonghui's tearful complaints, they all felt deep sympathy for Chu Yonghui and viewed Jiang Tian as a scourge. Zeng Hongyuan stood with his hands behind his back and didn't help him up, as if he was just a commoner. Then he swept his gaze over the mountains and shouted, "Where's Kong Te Chu? Get the hell out here." His voice exploded above everyone's heads like a tsunami, faintly containing the sound of a surging tide. Many people felt as if their souls were about to be destroyed. "You bully the good and cause a storm of blood time and time again. I'll be the first to not let you go. I'll definitely cut you into 1,000 pieces, pull out your tendons and skin you alive." Zeng Hongyuan puffed out his chest and folded his stomach, arrogant and majestic. The aura of a peak foundation establishment powerhouse erupted as he roared loudly. Chapter 948. There was dead silence. Everyone was suppressed by this monstrous power. Haha, City Lord Zheng's raging tide mystic technique has become more profound. Suddenly, a light voice sounded. With a whoosh, a young Daoist priest flew across the sky on a flying sword like a green rainbow. This person landed on the ground. He was tall and majestic, and his face was like jade. A pair of sword-like eyebrows slanted to his temples. His temperament was otherworldly, and he looked extremely handsome. "So it's Palace Lord Li's disciple, Zhou Yunkai. Excuse me." Even when facing Chu Yonghui, Zeng Hongyuan spoke bluntly. But now, he was smiling and bowing to this Daoist priest with cupped fists, appearing very respectful. Zeng Renwang's face tightened. He walked a few steps quickly and half-knelt. He looked a little nervous as if he was looking at an elder. Chu Yonghui even kowtowed 3 times and 9 times, like a commoner seeing a noble. Zhou Yunkai did not return the greeting. He only nodded and said lightly, "Greetings, Senior Zeng." "Fellow Daoist Zhou, I'm not worthy of being called senior in front of you. Just call me Big Brother," Zeng Hongyuan said with a smile. City Lord Zeng is flattering Zhou Yunkai so much? Isn't he giving too much face? Someone noticed this detail and said in shock, "Flattering? Giving face?" A cultivator at the side snorted. The new prodigy role has been announced. This time, the Starry Palace sent out many strong cultivators who were originally in seclusion. They are many times stronger than the previous batch of prodigies. For example, Miaoyi and Zen Master Dashin did not get a number this time. And Zhou Yunkai, with his foundation establishment level 9 cultivation, got 3rd place. Even if Chu Yonghui is in his peak state, even City Lord Zeng is not his match. Zhou Yunkai can even compete with those sect masters and city lords. Hiss. He's not even 30 years old, but he's already at foundation establishment level 9. That's too scary. So powerful. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air and looked at Zhou Yunkai with reverence. Even Chu Yunxiu looked at Zhou Yunkai with reverence. Her heart was burning as if she had seen a god. 9th level of foundation establishment, 3rd place on the prodigy roll. Even the Daoist of Qing Xian didn't have such strength back then. He cultivates the orthodox immortal sword technique. A single sword strike can destroy a city or a mountain, annihilate a city or a country, and kill thousands of people. It's far more terrifying than everyone can imagine. The man in the know said triumphantly, "How powerful do you think it is? This is definitely not something that those earth ants like Kong Teichu and those unorthodox sects can compare to. I heard that the top 9 geniuses of the genius ranking have all shown up. They are Li Qingshuan's martial brothers. It's obvious that they are here to avenge Daozi Qingxian." When these words were spoken, the entire area fell into a deathly silence. Many people felt that Jiang Tian's trip boded ill rather than well. The 9 great geniuses of the Starry Sky Palace. Which one of them wasn't a peerless genius? Which one of them didn't have an extraordinary inheritance? Which one of them didn't have a deep foundation? How could an ant from Earth like Kong Teichu compare to him? Is this Miss Chu? I've heard of your tragic experience. Suddenly, Zhou Yunkai's gaze fell on Chu Yunxiu. A strange light flashed in the depths of his eyes. Now that Kong Teichu is the public enemy of the Starry Sky Palace, we righteous sects will definitely not sit by and do nothing. Come with me, I'll let you see Kong Teichu's tragic end. Thank you, young Master Zhou. Chu Yunxiu was flattered and overjoyed. She hurriedly bowed and thanked him. She was only the daughter of a peak master. There was still a big gap between her and the elites of the sections. Even at her peak, she didn't have much chance to come into contact with such a first-class figure on the genius ranking. Zhou Yunkai held her waist and stepped on a flying sword. They flew towards Fang Zhufeng. Behind them, Zheng Renwang was depressed. This woman was too lucky. Did Zhou Yunkai take a fancy to her? When they reached the top of Fang Zhufeng and entered a pavilion, one by one, the major sects and forces arrived one after another. A resplendent streak of light shot over from the sky. The giant sword sect was actually riding on a giant sword magical artifact that was about 100 meters long. It was like a large boat. There were several dozen cultivators wearing Daoist robes and feathered robes on it. They all had extraordinary bearings. They were like treasured swords that had been unsheathed, revealing their sharpness. Soon after, many female disciples of the Heartless sect stepped on a pleasure boat covered in ice and snow. They flew through the air and arrived. Wherever the pleasure boat passed, white mist filled the air. Heavy snow fluttered about. The world was austere and cold, as if they had stepped into the coldest winter. Miao Yi's face was covered in a veil. Her eyes were mournful, but she still received a wave of cheers. Many cultivators cheered for her beauty. Rumble. Golden springs surged from the ground and lotus flowers descended from the sky. Phantoms of the 8th-division heavenly dragon appeared in the air. Brilliant light shot out and Buddhist chants filled the air. The eminent monks of the Demon Suppression Temple have arrived. Many people cried out in alarm. There were even believers who kowtowed deeply. Some rode on strange beasts, some flew in the air on spirit birds, and some walked in the air with lotus blooming with every step. Amidst the various phenomena, there were 300 eminent monks, arhats, and vajras. Especially the monk at the top. He looked solemn and dignified. The Buddhist light around him was dazzling. Many eminent monks sat high in the clouds like the sun in the sky. The golden light behind them was in the shape of a ring. It was dazzling and dyed the white clouds with a golden edge. It was extremely shocking. Its Master Pudu's master, the previous abbot, the abbot, and the head of the Arhat Hall. Everyone was shocked when they saw this. The demon suppression temple had turned out in full force this time. Even the older generation had arrived. These were all old monsters with a lifespan of hundreds of years. They were all at the peak of the fake core realm and had even reached the golden core realm. However, it was possible that they were unwilling to show their cultivation for various reasons. They were already older than Li Longyuan and were of the same generation as Li Longyuan's father and master. Sigh, Kong Teichu is probably new here. He doesn't know the deep foundation of the demon suppression temple at all. An old sect master clicked his tongue and said, "The demon suppression temple alone has 300 late-stage foundation establishment cultivators. They can already be called exalted immortals. 300 exalted immortals are all here." Every level had a different reputation for cultivation. The cultivation methods on Earth were crude. After surpassing the immortal state, one's strength could be compared to the early-stage foundation establishment cultivators. They were called immortals or saints. However, in this star world, early-stage foundation establishment cultivators were generally called immortal masters. Mid-stage foundation establishment cultivators were called itinerant immortals. Late-stage foundation establishment cultivators, including the fake core cultivators, were called exalted immortals. Only those who reached the golden core cultivators were called true immortals and qualified to control this continent. The demon suppression temple, the giant sword sect, and the heartless sect alone have 600 exalted immortals. The leaders of other small sects, cities, and forces added together, I'm afraid there are more than 1,000. At this time, Chu Yunxiu was sitting in an attic, looking out of the window with a shocked expression. This time, almost all the foundation establishment cultivators of the Heavenly Star Small World had come to the Green Hill Gathering. There were more than 1,000 late-stage foundation establishment cultivators. In addition, there were many sect masters, city masters, and even the masters of the previous generation. Would Kong Teichu still dare to come? He definitely won't dare to come, because he'll be courting death if he comes. He knows this. Chu Yunxiu shook her head gently, but she was very depressed. The Heavenly Star Palace and Li Longyuan shouldn't have made such a big fuss, because this would scare Jiang Tian so much that he wouldn't dare to come at all. It would be better to take them by surprise and kill their way to their doorstep. Not only did Chu Yunxiu think so, but Zhou Yunkai also thought so. He smiled disdainfully and said, "This time, the few senior brothers of the Heavenly Star Palace who were in seclusion have all come out. Almost all of them are late-stage foundation establishment cultivators and fake elixir realm cultivators. The prodigy role has been refreshed. Not to mention that there are senior masters like Grand Master Gong Xian from the Devil Suppressing Temple. I'm afraid any one of the masters on the prodigy role this time can crush Kong Teichu into powder." Beside him, the other 8 prodigies all smiled disdainfully, too lazy to judge Jiang Tian. Almost all of them were at the 8th or 9th stage of foundation establishment cultivators, and there was even one fake elixir realm cultivator. Their auras were as heavy as mountains, and some were as sharp as unsheathed swords. Each of them was comparable to a sect master or a sect master. In this hall, everyone was from the younger generation. Almost all of them were at the foundation establishment cultivator level, and there were dozens of them. However, it was obvious that the 9 prodigies of the Heavenly Star Palace were the leaders. Zheng Renwang, who was in the back row, slammed the table and snorted. "That Kong Teichu is here. I'll kill him first. A mere ant from the Earth domain dares to cause trouble in the Heavenly Star domain. He's courting death." Among the crowd, only Ding Lingdong's face was cold and bitter. Now, she was already under the control of the Heavenly Star Palace and had been beaten to the ground. Everyone looked at her with eyes full of schadenfreude, inquiry, disdain, and mockery. In everyone's eyes, the Ding Lai clan could be said to be complete idiots. They actually chose to team up with an ant from Earth and become enemies with the Heavenly Star Palace. This was tantamount to an ant trying to shake a tree. They were seeking their own deaths. Thousands of immortals have gathered. Such a glorious occasion has not been seen for hundreds of years. Many sect masters, city lords, and sect masters were very excited. They greeted each other and called out to their friends. They were in high spirits. It seemed that Li Longyuan's plundering these years was not completely meaningless. Although the lower levels were in dire straits and the people had no way of making a living, at least the upper levels had become very powerful. It seemed that within 10 years, the Heavenly Star Small World could produce 10 golden core cultivators and be promoted to a third-level hidden cultivation sect. Meanwhile, Jiang Haishan and his son brought the Qiao siblings, the Stinky Monkey, and the others to Qingxiu Mountain in disguise. However, Jiang Haishan and the others did not dare to climb up the bamboo peak. They just blended in with the crowd on the secondary peak. Sigh, it's really an inescapable net. I hope Immortal Master Jiang doesn't come. Jiang Haishan's face was very solemn. He sighed and said, as long as Immortal Master Jiang is still alive, there will be a chance to turn the tables in 10 years. But if he comes this time, I'm afraid it's not good. I think Big Brother Jiang will definitely come. Qiao Yingluo shook her head. Her eyes flashed with worry. But Jiang Haishan glanced at her. City Lord Ding Lai has been exposed and is under the control of others. Qiao Yingluo sighed gloomily. Although Big Brother Jiang is ruthless to his enemies, he will never let his comrades suffer. Sigh. City Lord Ding Lai. But at this time, Immortal Master Jiang should not lose the big picture for small gains. Jiang Haishan heard this and could not help but let out a long sigh. He admired Jiang Tian very much, but he was even more worried. Chapter 949. From Jiang Haishan's point of view, his worries were not unfounded. Although there was only a difference of 1 level between Foundation Establishment and Golden Core, the difference in strength was like heaven and earth. Although a Foundation Establishment cultivator had 1 foot in the door of cultivation, they were as weak as a 3-year-old child. As for Golden Core cultivators, their true essence condensed into an essence core, which was refined by heavenly lightning and earthly fire. It was extremely condensed. The golden core in the Dantian was extremely condensed and was the essence of a solid state. It could release true essence as vast as the sea, and its lethality was extremely terrifying. Comparing Foundation Establishment and Golden Core was like comparing a newborn baby to boxing champion Mike Tyson. The latter could kill it with a single finger. Moreover, there were rumors outside that Jiang Tian was only at the early stage of Foundation Establishment, and that demonic qi had entered his body and caused him to be severely injured. There was no chance of winning at all. At this moment, the main hall of Green Hill was filled with heavenly music and jingling ornaments. The main hall of Green Hill was hundreds of acres wide, supported by jade pillars carved with dragons and phoenixes. Tables and chairs were carved from crystals, and the floor was paved with white jade. Ancient Tao patterns flickered on it, and dense waves of immortal qi were emitted. The top floor of Jade Well Peak was already considered luxurious, but compared to Green Hill Palace, it was much worse. It felt like a nouveau riche. At this moment, there were about 1,000 late-stage Foundation Establishment cultivators gathered here. It could be said that there were as many experts as there were clouds in the sky. Under the lead of the former abbot of Demon Suppression Temple, Master Shi Xiang, many senior monks had already entered the main hall and sat in the front row. In the front row, there were about a dozen experts, and their auras were the strongest. Some were blazing with flames, some were suffused with Buddhist light, and some had sword qi that pierced through the sky. Female Celestial Annihilation Desire, Shin Tej, Master Ashen Pine, and City Lord Ding Lai were all there. However, at this moment, City Lord Ding Lai's expression was solemn and nervous. He looked at the expert in golden dragon robes on the high platform. Li Longyuan. He sat upright on the golden dragon throne. His aura was like a dragon, and his majesty was overwhelming. When he opened and closed his eyes, they were bright and dazzling, as if stars were flickering. At this moment he was like an ancient god, controlling life and death with his words. Ding Lai, you're in cahoots with the ants of earth. You're my enemy. Your crimes are unforgivable. Li Longyuan said coldly. However, as long as you realize your mistakes and sincerely correct them, I will be merciful and not kill you. Ha, what crime have I committed? Anger rose from Ding Lai's heart. He stood up and said coldly, Li Longyuan, answer me. Do you really think you're a god? Are all your actions right? I'm not a god. Li Longyuan shook his head and chuckled. If you're in the wrong, why can't you admit it? Ding Lai said coldly. My youngest daughter was only a few years old. Just because she said something bad about you, the feather guard executed her on the street. Is that reasonable? Emotionally, I'm heartbroken. After all, she's also my junior. Li Longyuan pondered for a moment, then slowly said, That's right. But in terms of righteousness, I've never regretted it. I don't think I've done anything wrong. He revealed a sorrowful expression and said in a low voice, The heavenly star small world had already begun to decay when the demons invaded 1,000 years ago. Only when it's promoted to a level 3 small world of cultivation can we obtain a new place to live. I'm not plundering the world for me, Li Longyuan. I'm doing it for the billions of people. I'm doing it for the next 100 years, the next 1,000 years. My merit is unparalleled in 1,000 years. I'm the only one. His eyes gradually sharpened and he said coldly, After everything is done, it doesn't matter if the world hates me, blames me, or slander me. But before everything is done, no one is allowed to interfere. I can't mess with the people's hearts. He narrowed his eyes and said slowly, 2 days ago your sister, my cultivation partner, Ding Xuanyu, pleaded for you and Kong Teichu. She interfered in politics. Do you know what happened to her? Ding Lai suddenly had a bad premonition. He said coldly, What did you do to her? I took her head and made it into a cup of wine. Li Longyuan patted his storage bag and a beautiful woman's head flew out. Fairy Xuanyu's face was extremely beautiful. Her pair of beautiful eyes were still open, full of despair and unwillingness. It was as if she couldn't believe that she was killed. The whole place was dead silent. Everyone was frightened and did not dare to look directly at him. Even the heartless Mieu felt a chill in his heart. His right hand that was holding the teacup trembled violently. Even the Master of Salvation, the profound Buddhist Master Shixiang, lowered his head and played with the prayer beads while chanting Buddha's name. You killed her. You actually killed her. You're worse than a beast. Ding Lai's eyes were about to split open and he was about to go crazy. Ding Xuanyu was the most beautiful woman in Heavenly Star and a cultivation genius. She and Li Longyuan supported each other and slept on the same bed for more than 10 years. But he had actually been mercilessly killed by him. This is the result of doubting me. This is the result of disloyal people. Li Longyuan's expression did not change. He picked up the wine pot and poured the sweet and clear wine into his neck cavity. He grabbed the head of his beloved wife and slowly drank a mouthful of the wine mixed with blood. He said coldly, In this world, only my voice can be heard. My words are like gold and jade. No one can doubt me. The power of the world, promote to a level 3 cultivation hidden sect at all costs. All of you must be unwavering and follow through to the end. Do not waver in the slightest. Ding Lai, do you know your mistake now? If you do, kneel. The last was very light. At this moment, Li Longyuan and Ding Lai were 100 meters apart. But to Ding Lai, this was like a clap of thunder in his ears. It shook his eardrums until they were buzzing. An enormous aura of a golden core cultivator pressed down on his shoulders like 10,000 mountains, causing the bones in his body to creak and his legs to tremble, almost collapsing and breaking. I won't kneel. I'm not wrong. Aren't you saying that water can carry a boat, but it can also sink it? Blood oozed out from the corner of Ding Lai's mouth. He shouted angrily, You're heartless and unscrupulous. Sooner or later, everyone will see your true colors and kill you. They will overthrow your tyranny. Water can sink a boat? Who can destroy me? Kong Teichu? Li Longyuan's face was full of disdain. He stood up and a violent wave of air pushed out. Li Longyuan shouted coldly. Who does Kong Teichu think he is? He's just an ant on earth. You still think he's your master? You're short-sighted. Ding Lai, Do you know that Kong Teichu has become the target of public criticism after killing Master Pudu? Miayu snorted. Even if he's a golden core cultivator, if he dares to come today, we'll tear him to pieces. The sect leader of the Quake Dan sect shouted. Kneel and admit your mistake. Many sect master-level experts shouted angrily. In an instant, everyone unleashed their true essence and put pressure on Ding Lai. Ding Lai trembled all over and was about to kneel when he couldn't withstand the pressure. A violent sound wave struck like rolling thunder, shocking the 9 heavens and 10 enemies. It spread throughout the entire Qingqiu mountain. Kong Teichu has come to visit the mountain. At this instant, the entire scene became solemn. Everyone was dumbstruck, and it was deathly silent. Kong Teichu really dares to come? Chu Yunxiu's mouth twitched crazily as she looked at the figure in the sky. At that moment, Jiang Tian was wearing a plain long robe. His black hair was like a waterfall, and his eyebrows were sharp like swords. He looked handsome. He walked up the straight mountain path. He didn't look aggressive, as if he was an immortal who didn't belong to the mortal world. He's here to die. Chu Yunxiu's eyes were full of disdain and ecstasy. She was afraid that Jiang Tian wouldn't come, but she didn't expect Jiang Tian to come. There were thousands of perfected immortals at the Qingqiu Grand Festival, including the overlords of the heavenly star small world. Jiang Tian would be torn to pieces even if he was a golden core cultivator, not to mention that Jiang Tian didn't have that level of cultivation. How could he be invaded by Fiend Qi? Brother Jiang really came? Qiao Yingluo was worried. Jiang Haishan and his son, Qiao Beishan, and the stinky monkey also felt their hearts sink. Why is he here? Why is he here? Didn't Dad tell him not to come? Yes, he must be worried that Dad is controlled by Li Longyuan, so he has to come. Ding Lingdang also couldn't believe it. She was in a panic and then tears came out of her eyes. He's just an ant from Earth. I'll kill him. I'll peel his skin and pull out his tendons, then cut him into pieces. Zheng Renwang roared and stood up. A surge of murderous aura rose to the sky. Kong Teichu has already been invaded by Fiend Qi, and his cultivation is gone. Zheng Renwang is obviously picking up a soft persimmon. Yes, bullying someone who has lost his cultivation. Zheng Renwang is really shameless. A prodigy at the side laughed. But no matter what, Kong Teichu is still the #1 person on Earth. If Zheng Renwang kills him, he'll be recorded in history. Some overlords nodded and sighed at how cunning this kid was. Don't kill him. He should be here to receive his punishment. We should announce it to the world and kill him in front of everyone. Zhou Yunkai narrowed his eyes and looked at Jiang Tian, scanning him with his divine sense. He found that Jiang Tian's dantian was lifeless, and there was no true essence fluctuation. His cultivation was indeed gone. At this time, under the escort of a few feather uniform guards, the leader Li Zixing stepped out of the Green Hill Palace and landed in front of Jiang Tian. He glanced at Jiang Tian with disdain, then said in a cold and arrogant voice, Kong Teichu, if you want to plead guilty and live, show me your attitude and kowtow all the way to the Green Hill Palace. Chapter 950. Jiang Tian was still at the top of the stairs and there were a few hundred more steps to go up. Together with the stairs of the Green Hill Palace, there were more than 2,000 steps. Li Zixing was obviously trying to humiliate Jiang Tian and intimidate Jiang Tian so that Jiang Tian would realize his situation. Why aren't you kneeling? Do you want to die? Jiang Tian's lips curled into a mocking smile. Before he could say anything, Li Zixing had already roared loudly. He was a 9th-level Foundation establishment cultivator and was only a step away from the sect masters and the city lords. He was on par with many elites. At this moment, a violent pressure was being emitted. Many people had a suffocating feeling that they couldn't breathe properly. Ding Lingdang stood up angrily and flew to Jiang Tian's side. She shouted at Li Zixing. Commander Li, Immortal Master Jiang is here to negotiate on behalf of Earth. He isn't a criminal. Why are you humiliating him like this? But Li Zixing glanced at her and sneered mockingly. Because he's an ant from Earth and his level is too low. I can bully him. What do you think? Aren't you taking advantage of someone's precarious position to bully them? What kind of righteous sect are you? What kind of seniors are you? Ding Lingdang said angrily. Why didn't you kill Immortal Master Jiang when he was still a cultivator? Now that he's seriously injured and his power is gone, you jump out. Get out. Li Zixing's furious roar directly shook Ding Lingdang until her qi and blood surged, and she stumbled back. He said with disdain, "Of course I'm taking advantage of him. Of course I'm bullying him. Do you think I'll kill him when he's at his strongest?" Li Zixing looked down at Jiang Tian like a god, and mocked him as much as he could. "I'm going to bully you. Hee, the feeling of stepping on the number one ant on earth is really nice." At this moment, numerous gazes converged onto Jiang Tian. Some were inquiring, some were regretful, some were mocking, and some were taking pleasure in his misfortune. This person turned out to be the number one person in the world of Earth. It could be said that he was unparalleled in the limelight, but he acted recklessly and made an enemy of the heavenly star small world. Now that he was being humiliated like this, it was simply too miserable. Wasn't it good to be the best in the world on Earth? Why did you come here to court death? Too stupid. You will suffer retribution sooner or later. Ding Lingdang still wanted to say something. However, Jiang Tian pulled her behind him and said indifferently, "That's enough, Ling. With just these little trash, they can't bully me." Kong Teichu, you are really arrogant. Don't you understand the situation in front of you? At this moment, a chuckle was heard. Miayu was escorted out of the Green Hill Palace by a few disciples. He looked down at Jiang Tian and mocked him. "In the beginning, I gave you many chances to take you in as a disciple, but you rejected me." Miayu's face was full of sarcasm. She sneered and said, "You are too arrogant and don't know when to stop. It can be said that one wrong step led to many wrong steps. Now, you have walked to the opposite side of the entire stellar sky domain. Have you ever thought of today's outcome?" Outcome? Jiang Tian looked at Miayu and Miao Yi behind her with a mocking look. He chuckled and said, "I am a little curious what will happen to me today." "Kong Teichu, why did you come?" Miao Yi's face was full of distress. She sighed helplessly in her heart. She had already persuaded her master many times, but Miayu was stubborn and didn't listen at all. There was nothing she could do. "But Kong Teichu, don't you know how dangerous this gathering is? Why did you come?" Miayu didn't say anything. "What outcome?" Chu Yunxiu had already stood up. She leaned against the railing and looked down at Jiang Tian. She sneered mockingly. "Kong Teichu, do you still think you were the number one person in the Earth domain back then? You have already been invaded by the demonic aura. You have lost all your cultivation. Besides, even if your cultivation is still there, how can you be a match for these prodigies, sect lords, and city lords? You have been relying on elixirs and secret techniques to forcefully raise your cultivation, but you have to understand that this is like killing the goose that lays the golden eggs. Sooner or later, you will be exposed." Chu Yonghui, on the other hand, ran down the stairs and stopped in front of Jiang Tian, mocking him. "Ah, Kong Teichu, oh Kong Teichu, I didn't expect you to be so stubborn and arrogant even when you are about to die. I really admire you for this." Chu Yunxiu looked at Zhou Yunkai with a face full of admiration, then mocked Jiang Tiandao. "Kong Teichu, not to mention the sect lords, even the golden core perfected Immortal Li Longyuan, Zhou Yunkai and the other prodigies are not something an ant like you can compare to." Zhou Yunkai originally didn't want to fight with a weakling like Jiang Tian. He didn't want to lose face. After all, he was third on the prodigy list. If he bullied Jiang Tian, who had lost all his cultivation, there would be gossip. "Fine, I will go and humiliate this person and win a smile from the beauty." But when he saw Chu Yunxiu's tender gaze, Zhou Yunkai's heart was suddenly filled with passion. He grabbed the woman's waist and flew over. Chu Yunxiu could see that he was interested in her. The more she thought about it, the prouder she became. That long-lost sense of superiority came again. "Kong Teichu, are you still so arrogant? Can you still slap me like you did on Jadewell Peak? Why can't I?" Jiang Tian laughed. He raised his hand and slapped Chu Yunxiu dozens of meters away. She landed on the square like a dead dog. Bastard! Chu Yonghui was shocked and angry. His expression changed drastically. He was shocked because Jiang Tian seemed to still have some cultivation. He was angry because Jiang Tian dared to beat his daughter in public. You are the one who has lost all your cultivation. How dare you be so rash? Before he finished speaking, Jiang Tian had already slapped Chu Yonghui to Chu Yunxiu's side. How about it? Jiang Tian walked up step by step. He looked at the two people whose faces were stained with blood mockingly. He said indifferently, I could beat you that day, and I can still beat you now. An ant should have the self-awareness of an ant. Lie on the ground and don't make a sound. Die silently. How dare you provoke me? Zhou Tianjiao, why did you? Chu Yunxiu was extremely miserable. The blood on her face dyed the ground red. She looked at Zhou Yunkai and shouted. Kong Teichu, you didn't lose your cultivation. Or is your physical body strong? Zhou Yunkai was also shocked. He looked at Jiang Tian cautiously. Just now, he clearly used a technique and emitted a monstrous amount of sword energy to set up a defense around Chu Yonghui and his daughter. Especially after seeing Chu Yunxiu being slapped to the ground, he strengthened his defenses and pushed his cultivation base to the limit. But Jiang Tian ignored his defense and easily broke through it twice in a row. He hit Chu Yunxiu and his daughter. Also, he could feel that Jiang Tian didn't use any technique at all. He only used his physical strength. But his physical strength was able to break through the defense of the third-ranked Heaven's favorite? This was too terrifying. You ant, you have no right to talk to me. Jiang Tian dragged Ding Lingdang onto the square of life and death. He said coldly, Get out of my way. Kong Teichu, how dare you humiliate me? You're courting death. Zhou Yunkai's face was filled with rage. He flew to the square and blocked Jiang Tian's path. A sharp sword intent surged out from his body. No matter what, he was still the third on the Heaven's favorite list. Even the city lord and the sect leader had to be polite when they saw him. He had never been so disrespected and humiliated. All of a sudden, a chilling aura filled the air as the sword chi revealed its sharpness. Within a radius of a few hundred meters, a chilling aura filled the air as many experts retreated. Don't worry. It'll be your turn soon. Jiang Tian didn't care about Zhou Yunkai's sharp sword energy. He didn't even look at it. He didn't care at all. Bang, bang. Jiang Tian stepped forward and kicked Chu Yonghui and his daughter, causing them to vomit blood and scream miserably. Kong Teichu, good, very good. Keep hitting. How many times you hit me today? I'll pay you back 10 times, 100 times. Chu Yonghui screamed. Jiang Tian raised his eyebrows and was about to kill. However, Ding Lingdang grabbed Jiang Tian and begged softly, Big brother Jiang, don't be rash. My father is still in Li Longyuan's hands. Jiang Tian slowly retracted his murderous intent. He pulled Ding Lingdang and walked toward the Green Hill Hall. However, he didn't expect that the Feathercoat Guards and Li Zixing had already attacked. Bastard, stop right there. How dare you beat up a VIP of the Green Hill Association in front of the Feathercoat Guards? Do you think we're useless? Do you think you can meet Palace lordly like this? Kneel down and kowtow every step before you can enter the hall. Many feather robe guards blocked Jiang Tian from the front and shouted angrily. Li Zixing stood behind Jiang Tian. His face was dark and his eyes were like a venomous snake's. Suddenly, without saying a word, his figure flashed like a ghost and pierced through Jiang Tian's heart from the back with his sword. This was the specialty of the Feathercoat Guards. They were proficient in the art of assassination. He was like a dormant venomous snake, waiting patiently. When the opportunity came, he would strike decisively. It was silent and there was no howling wind, but it was extremely vicious and impossible to guard against. At this moment, several Feathercoat Guards are confronting Jiang Tian and attracting Jiang Tian's attention. Li Zixing is attacking from behind. In addition to his strength, it can be said that Kong Teichu has no chance of survival. Many experts were shocked. Attacking me? You're really confident. Jiang Tian didn't even turn his head. He just reached behind him and made a grabbing motion. A vast force appeared out of nowhere and grabbed at Li Zixing. Li Zixing suddenly felt alarmed. His vast true yuan erupted and protected his body. He also poured it into his sword. However, it couldn't withstand a single blow. Bang! With a bang, the sword cracked and shattered. The fragments fluttered like butterflies. Then, Li Zixing was grabbed by Jiang Tian's true yuan palm as if he had fallen into the claws of an ancient demonic beast. Li Zixing was shocked. His aura surged like a raging tide, trying to break free from Jiang Tian's true yuan palm. However, it was useless. Bang! Bam! He was lifted up high by Jiang Tian and smashed on the ground like a dead dog. He screamed, "Li Zixing, you want me to kowtow with every step? Otherwise, you'll kill me? Do you think I'm an ant?" Jiang Tian raised his foot and stepped on his head. Boom! With a loud sound, he stepped on the hard ground. Blood spurted out. Jiang Tian stepped on a pool of blood and sneered, "What about now? Who's under my foot? Whose face is being stepped on?" Chapter 951. Everyone was shocked. They couldn't believe it. This kid's battle prowess is still so strong? He was actually able to crush the treasured sword of Li Zixing, a 9th-level foundation establishment cultivator, and capture him like an eagle catching a chick. Li Zixing couldn't fight back at all. What's going on? At that moment, even the 8 prodigies stood up and stared at Jiang Tian in shock. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. His true essence was still there. Did he not lose his cultivation? Could it be that the effects of the Yuan Burst pill still hadn't subsided? "Bastard, let go of me!" Li Zixing shouted angrily. His eyes were spitting fire and his face was hideous. Streams of surging true yuan burst out from his body like twinkling stars, like a giant dragon surging. He was Li Longyuan's nephew and the commander of the Feather Gown Guards. He was like a special intelligence agency in this world that monitored all the cultivators in the world. When had he ever been humiliated and trampled on like this? "Kong Teichu, I swear I'll torture you with 100 kinds of torture methods of the Feather Gown Guards. I'll eat your flesh, sleep on your skin, and grind your bones to dust." Jiang Tian didn't say anything and directly stomped his head into the hard stone floor. Blood spurted out and his cheekbones were all broken. Li Zixing screamed like a pig being slaughtered. At this time, everyone in the square finally reacted. "Fellow cultivator, since you want to talk about Dao and fight, don't lose face. Immortal Master Jiang, why don't you let Li Zixing go first?" The sect master of the giant sword sect, Master Ashen Pine, appeared from the Green Hill Palace and looked at Jiang Tian with a smile. "This time, you're here to talk to Li Longyuan and the other sect masters on an equal footing. You're very senior. It's too degrading to fight with a junior." The Quake Dawn sect master scolded. "Kong Teichu, let go of Li Zixing. Do you know he's my master's nephew?" The 8 geniuses roared in unison. The furious Wave City Lord, Sing Hongyuan, looked down at Jiang Tian and waved his hand. "If you dare to kill again, the entire Heavenly Star Small World will not rest until you are dead." In an instant, countless Castellan and Ancestor-level experts were trying to intimidate Jiang Tian. Monstrous waves of pressure crashed down on Jiang Tian like a tsunami. "Immortal Master Jiang, let Li Zixing go. We can still discuss this." Nearby, Zhou Yunkai also spoke coldly. "If you have the guts, then fight me. I'll let you, an ant from the Earth world, know what true swordsmanship is." He activated his cultivation technique, and small swords flew out from the sword sheath on his back like swimming fish. There were hundreds of them, and they formed a 3-feet-long sword in his hand. It was also a mother-son sword. He said with disdain, "I'll let you know that your sword Dao is nothing but an unorthodox sword Dao in front of me. It's nothing." The 3-foot-long sword trembled slightly and flickered with a cold light. Space rippled violently as if it had been sliced apart by the enormous and sharp sword Qi. The small fish-like swords were originally of normal size, but after being refined to the extreme, they formed a mother sword that weighs 10,000 pounds. The Li River Sword sect master's eyes widened as he exclaimed. In front of such a terrifying sword Qi and sword intent, he even felt that it was difficult to catch up and that he was past his prime. he said with a bitter face. Ah, the Heavenly Star Palace is too powerful. He's just a young prodigy, yet he's able to suppress us. Kong Teichu's sword Dao is just an unorthodox sword Dao. How can it compare to Zhou Yunkai's sword Dao? Master Yuan Jing of the Prajna Temple smiled bitterly and shook his head. Ah, if Kong Teichu is given some time, I'm afraid that not many people in this world can stop him. Sect Master Shi of the Snake Sect sighed with regret. It's a pity that he's too flashy and doesn't know how to be tactful. Zhou Yunkai can be called a sword immortal. He's too powerful. Many people were shocked and dumbfounded. Did you see that? Kong Teichu, how many experts have come this time? Hurry up and kneel and submit. Chu Yunxiu laughed maniacally. Kong Teichu, let me go. Just now, you caught me off guard. If we had fought fairly, I would have beaten the shit out of you. Li Zixing roared in rage. His position was special. He was in charge of all investigations. Even sect masters and city lords were somewhat afraid of him. But now, in front of tens of thousands of people, Jiang Tian had stepped on him. This was truly an unbearable humiliation. Zhou Yunkai, you're worthy of being called a sword immortal? Am I an unorthodox sword Dao? Jiang Tian looked contemptuously at Zhou Yunkai and smiled. You don't even have the right to make me use my sword. Why would I need to use my sword to kill you? Haha, I even dared to kill the Azure Mystic Dao child, let alone an ant like you. Jiang Tian swept his gaze over the crowd, and then revealed a disdainful expression. Suddenly he stomped down again. Bang! Blood gushed out like a tide. Broken bones and internal organs flew everywhere. This time, Li Zixing's chest was pierced by Jiang Tian's foot. His whole body sank into the ground, forming a human-shaped pit. But after all, he was a cultivator. He didn't die, but was still screaming. How dare you? Countless people shouted angrily. How dare you ignore me? You're courting death. Zhou Yunkai was furious and directly attacked. Clang. The 3-foot mother sword in his hand was as heavy as a mountain, but in his hand it was as light as a snake. The long sword stabbed out. Suddenly, there were flashes of cold light in the air. It stretched for 100 meters and strangled toward Jiang Tian. Wherever the blade passed, the space seemed to be destroyed. Fierce wind poured in like a tide. Within 100 meters, overlords in the middle or early stage of the foundation establishment stage couldn't withstand the attraction and wanted to fly over. Moreover, they felt a pressure coming from inside their bodies. It seemed that their eyes were about to explode, their internal organs were expanding, their blood and urine were about to flow out, and their skin was about to burst because of the blood vessels. Zhou Yunkai's sword Dao is so powerful and fast. It's so fast that it created a huge vacuum. Master Ashen Pine of the Giant Sword Sect had a look of admiration. He clapped his hands and said, "The surrounding air flows in reverse, so everyone feels that the pressure inside and outside is out of balance." The sect leader of the Li River Sword Sect was dazzled, but his eyes were wide open. He didn't miss a single detail. This kind of sword Dao is much more powerful than those powerful moves that shake the heavens and the earth. Prodigies like Zhou Yunkai were the trump cards of the Starry Sky Palace's younger generation. They rarely showed themselves. It was a rare opportunity for him to learn the true meaning of the Starry Sky Palace's sword Dao. The sect leader of the Li River Sword Sect sighed in amazement. It's attacking from all directions. Although it seems powerful and destructive, the power is scattered. When the Dao techniques and sword techniques attack the opponent, they've already caused a lot of weakening. Zhou Yunkai's sword intent, true yuan, and strength are all highly concentrated on the sword. There's no loss at all. His sword Dao has reached the pinnacle. His control is too precise. At the side, Master Yuan Jing, the snake sect leader, and the others nodded in amazement. Is that all? Jiang Tian did not move at all. He let the countless sword qi attack his body without moving at all. In the blink of an eye, the sharp tip of the sword was less than an inch away from Jiang Tian's chest. At this moment, Jiang Tian raised his jade-white right hand and clamped down on the sword. "You're humiliating me." Seeing this, Zhou Yunkai's expression changed. He was shocked and angry. He's too arrogant. The crowd also exclaimed. At this moment, Jiang Tian didn't use any true yuan or divine ability. He was completely relying on his physical body to block the sword qi. He was using the strength of one hand to control Zhou Yunkai's swords. This was too arrogant, too condescending. Go to hell. However, Zhou Yunkai was so angry that he laughed. His sword was like a stream of light as it rushed forward. Jiang Tian used his physical body to take on his sword move and sword intent. This was clearly looking down on him. Are you trying to humiliate me? Then you'll have to pay with your life. Zhou Yunkai made up his mind. His sword Dao, strength, and speed had all reached the limit of what he could achieve. But suddenly, Jiang Tian's thumb and middle finger clamped down on the sword. How is this possible? Zhou Yunkai's face flushed red. He used his true yuan and used all his strength. However, his swords couldn't be stabbed or pulled out. They were fixed between Jiang Tian's crystal-clear fingers. It was as if they were stuck in a 10,000-ton boulder. Kong Teichu's physical body and strength are so strong? Master Ashen Pine and the other experts were shocked. To be honest, Zhou Yunkai's sharp sword was something that even the sect leader, and city lord would have to be cautious and tired of dealing with. I've said that Kong Teichu is very strong and has excellent talent. Master Desolator glanced at Master Ashen Pine and said lightly, "What a pity. A strong physical body belongs to the category of martial arts. And this is a battle of magical powers. It's about true yuan and divine abilities." Sure enough, Zhou Yunkai also revealed a mocking expression. He snorted and said, "Kong Teichu, no matter how strong your physical body is, you're not a match for a cultivator. Go to hell." Suddenly, he used his divine ability. Thousands of Daoist flying swords were like startled bees on a beehive. They scattered with a buzz. Then, they turned the tip of their swords one after another. The densely packed swords pierced toward Jiang Tiandong from all directions. With so many flying swords, it simply gave people a feeling of being unable to dodge. Kong Teichu, how can you imagine the divine abilities of a sword cultivator in the cultivation world? Zhou Yunkai looked down on Jiang Tian as if he was already a dead man. You're not worthy of using a sword. But at this moment, Jiang Tian flicked his fingers as if he was playing a pipa. Pa, 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 pa. Dense explosions erupted one after another. Every flying sword cracked and exploded the moment the sound rang out. In an instant, it was as if a string of firecrackers had been set off around Jiang Tian. Bang, bang, bang. Sparks flew everywhere. How is this possible? What Dharma treasure did you use to break my flying swords? Zhou Yunkai turned pale with fright. Every time a sound rang out, a flying sword would shatter. In an instant, he had lost contact with thousands of flying swords. I've said before, do I need a sword to kill you? Jiang Tian smiled mockingly. His right hand paused, and leaves floated in the air. What? Flying leaves breaking 1,000 swords. Everyone was shocked. The 8 prodigies were all shocked. Cold sweat had already covered their backs. Kong Teichu had just used leaves to break Zhou Yunkai's flying swords with a flick of his fingers. How was this possible? Not to mention Miao Yi Chu Yunxiu and the other young prodigies, even the seniors on the heavenly law ranking were stunned. They couldn't believe it. Master Ashen Pine, Nie Yu, the Quake Dan sect leader, Yuan Jing, and the others were all dazed. They stood there like clay statues. Chapter 952. How is this possible? You, an ant from Earth, how could you break my flying sword with a leaf? Zhou Yunkai couldn't believe it. He screamed like a cat that had been set on fire. He felt like he was disillusioned. His head was muddled and the world was spinning. He couldn't take the blow. He had cultivated in seclusion for 10 years and finally reached 3rd place on the prodigy roll. He came out of seclusion to attend the gathering to amaze the world. But he didn't expect that the flying sword he had cultivated for 10 years would be broken by Jiang Tian with a leaf in a second. That was the flying sword he had refined 1,000 times. Even an ordinary sword wouldn't be able to break it, let alone his Dharma treasure flying sword. Zhou Yunkai, he hasn't lost his cultivation. He's still very powerful. Step back quickly. In the end, Master Ashen Pine was the first to react. His body shook as he shouted a warning. In fact, Zhou Yunkai also realized this. His face was pale as he retreated quickly like a ghost. But it was too late. Jiang Tian's lips curled into a mocking smile. Thousands of leaves shot toward him like a rain of swords. Zhou Yunkai screamed. The leaves pierced through the light shield emitted by many protective Dharma treasures and pierced into his meridians and acupoints. Then, they flew out with a cloud of blood. Zhou Yunkai was like a dead dog. He was carried dozens of meters away by the leaves and fell to the edge of the square. Flying leaves broke thousands of swords, stepped on the leader of the feather uniform guards, single-handedly defeated the third-place prodigy role, and defeated him in one move. The whole place was dead silent. The tens of thousands of cultivators on the various peaks were silent. Everyone was dumbfounded. They were shocked to the extreme and couldn't believe it. What's going on? Isn't he at the second level of the foundation establishment stage and has lost all his cultivation? I heard that demonic chi entered his body and he vomited blood. He's seriously injured. What's going on? After a long time, everyone came to their senses. They were confused and whispered to each other. Not to mention that they were confused, even those sect and city lord level powerhouses didn't understand what was going on. Jiang Tian had clearly not emitted any true essence, nor had he used any divine ability, so how had he been able to control these leaves and form such a terrifying lethality? In Green Hill Palace, only Master Ashen Pine looked at Desolate Desire with dissatisfaction and said, "Desolate Desire, you're mistaken. His cultivation is not only at the second level of foundation establishment." Master Ashen Pine, don't stare. Can you tell me what's going on? As you can see, he's not releasing any aura at all. Demonic Desire also had a look of suspicion. Could it be that he had seen wrongly? Did Kang Teichu have an extremely powerful chi restraining cultivation technique? At the edge of the life and death arena, Zhou Yunkai staggered to his feet. Cultivators were cultivators after all. Even if they were beaten into a sieve, they were still full of vigor and could still hold on. His face alternated between green, red, and white like a crazy chameleon. He was ranked third on the prodigy list and represented the Starry Sky Palace to pressure Jiang Tian. Facing a piece of trash who had lost all his cultivation, facing an abandoned person from the Earth realm, and using the flying sword technique that he was best at, he actually lost to Jiang Tian's leaf. He couldn't even withstand a single move. And Jiang Tian was still stepping on Li Zixing, controlling the leaves with only one hand. I'm an ant? I can't even withstand a single blow? You're a sword immortal? You're a supreme sword Dao? Jiang Tian stepped on Li Zixing and looked at Zhou Yunkai with a face full of mockery as he spoke indifferently. "Kangtu, I'm going to pull out your tendons, skin you alive, and grind your bones to dust." Zhou Kaiyun's anger soared to the sky, and his sword aura surged. A monstrous murderous aura soared into the sky, stirring up the clouds and shattering them. At this moment, Zhou Qin was simply aggrieved to the extreme. An ant from Earth used a few leaves to break 1,000 of his flying swords. This was a great humiliation to him. This would make him the laughingstock of the heavenly star small world. Even if he died, he would still become a joke and be talked about forever. Boom! Zhou Kaiyun made his move. The surrounding sword aura surged and suddenly turned into thousands of sword auras that pierced towards Jiang Tian. The lethality of these sword auras surpassed the flying swords. And there were so many of them that they covered the sky and earth. They were so dense that they covered Jiang Tian like a torrential downpour. These sword auras were faintly blood red. This meant that Zhou Qin had already used his natal sword aura and almost exhausted all his blood essence. Is this all you've got? Jiang Tian's lips curled into a disdainful smile as he waved his hand. Boom! The sword auras that could cut through steel and penetrate tanks cracked and shattered under Jiang Tian's sleeves. The fragments danced in the air like withered leaves. Come on! Jiang Tian opened his right hand and slapped Zhou Kaiyun, who was spitting blood and had a pale face, into his hand. "Kang Teichu, let go of me!" Zhou Kaiyun screamed. At this moment, all the blood essence in his body had been exhausted by the attack just now. He was as weak as a 3-year-old child and was at the mercy of others. Jiang Tian slapped Zhou Kaiyun's face and sneered, "My sword art is unorthodox?" Zhou Kaiyun flew out like a scarecrow. He lay on the ground like a dead dog and spat out a bunch of teeth. "I'm an ant from Earth? Now, do you still think so? Speak." Jiang Tian walked over and stepped on his face as he snorted. Seeing Jiang Tian's cold gaze, Zhou Kaiyun's heart skipped a beat. His anger turned into cold sweat. Jiang Tian's gaze was indifferent. He knew that Jiang Tian would definitely dare to kill him. "Speak!" Jiang Tian shouted. "You're not an ant." "I'm the ant." Zhou Kaiyun was scared. He was really scared. He begged with a pitiful face. "Chu Yunxiu, look carefully. This is what you're relying on." Jiang Tian caught Zhou Kaiyun in his palm and slammed him down like a chick. "Gah!" Zhou Kaiyun screamed. His body was covered in blood and his flesh was torn as he lay on the ground. At this moment, he could only breathe in and not out. He trembled and did not dare to resist at all. How could this be? Chu Yunxiu was dumbfounded. She could not believe it. At this moment, she felt like she was dreaming. Kang Teichu was actually so powerful that he could even crush the third-place prodigy. Could it be that his cultivation was not only at the second level of foundation establishment? His cultivation was still there. Desolation made a mistake. Kang Teichu's cultivation is at least at the pseudo-core level, and he's not injured. The combat power he's showing now is definitely comparable to the sect leaders. At this moment, at least the prodigies and young talents upstairs realized what was going on. They were stunned. Some had fear in their eyes, and cold sweat covered their backs. Some clenched their fists and tensed up. Zhou Kaiyun's cultivation was about the same as theirs. Zhou Kaiyun was beaten so badly by Jiang Tian. If they went up, they would only end up the same way. "Didn't you want to pull out my tendons, skin me, and burn my bones to ashes? Then try it." Jiang Tian approached Zhou Kaiyun as if he was taking a stroll in the park. He was about to kill him. "Kang Teichu, that's enough." Suddenly, Master Ashenpine's face darkened and he said coldly, "Zhou Kaiyun has already lost and can't fight anymore. Why do you have to be so aggressive? He can't fight anymore, and I'm going to let him go." Jiang Tian looked at Master Ashenpine with contempt and mockery. He kicked Zhou Kaiyun until he spat out blood and his energy reserve shattered. "What kind of logic are you talking about? Why didn't you stand out when everyone attacked me, a cripple who has lost all his cultivation? Kang Teichu, you've killed too many people and caused bloodshed time and time again. Today, I'm going to eliminate demons for the world and protect the righteous path." Master Ashenpine's face turned red, but he still refused to argue. Then she flew towards Jiang Tian with a murderous aura, as if she was going to attack Jiang Tian. "Shameless. Darn Baldy, you're so shameless." At this moment, Ding Lai's angry roar suddenly sounded in the Green Hill Palace. Everyone was stunned, not knowing why or who he was scolding. All of a sudden, everyone realized that Jiang Tian's body suddenly froze and golden Buddhist light shrouded and suppressed him. Buddhist light formed a scroll of scriptures, large golden characters that surrounded Jiang Tian, bright and upright, blazing to the extreme. They were like numerous small suns, dazzling and resplendent. However, every word and symbol was very dignified and sonorous, emitting the sound of metal clashing and shining with a metallic luster. Lines of scriptures shuttled back and forth like ropes, entangling Jiang Tian rapidly and finally entangling Jiang Tian firmly. The previous abbot of the Demon Suppression Temple, the Master of Salvation, Master Shixiang's Buddhist restriction secret technique, the demon-slaying curse. Everyone's expression changed drastically as they suddenly realized. It turned out that Master Shixiang had taken advantage of Master Ashenpine's distraction to launch a sneak attack on Jiang Tian. "Die!" Master Ashenpine's eyes lit up and he roared. The giant sword behind him flew up and slashed towards Jiang Tian. Master Ashenpine's cultivation was at the perfected pseudo-core realm and was only slightly inferior to Li Longyuan. Furthermore, he took advantage of Jiang Tian being trapped by the demon-slaying curse and waited for him to be exhausted, increasing his power. With a sweep of the giant sword, the sword light was like a torrential torrent and the sword light was like a mountain pressing down. Jiang Tian was simply unable to dodge. Everything happened too quickly. Master Ashenpine and Master Xianxia's cooperation was too tacit. Many people couldn't react and were dumbfounded. After all, Master Ashenpine was the giant sword sect's leader. Master Xianxia was the previous abbot of the Demon Suppression Temple and his seniority was even higher than Li Longyuan's. Both of them were high and mighty figures in this world, the leaders of famous righteous sections. They were highly respected and were the targets of all cultivators in the world. Who would have thought that they would launch a sneak attack and attack together without saying a word? Kong Teichu, be careful. Miao Yi exclaimed with a sobbing tone. Xiao Yingluo's face was pale, and Ding Lingdang was trembling with anger. How can you do this? If you can't beat him, what's the point of plotting? Even Miayu didn't expect Master Ashenpine and Master Xianxia to be so despicable. His expression suddenly changed and he said angrily. At this moment, Jiang Tian's eyes were filled with murderous intent, and a violent primeval essence surged outwards like a nuclear explosion. The sutra ropes were like steel bars being pulled and twisted, making a teeth-numbing sound. Then, with a bang, the sutra ropes turned into fragments of golden light and exploded. The giant sword shattered. Master Ashenpine seemed to have been hit in the chest by an invisible cannonball and was sent flying. Chapter 953. Bang, bang, bang. Master Ashenpine landed on the ground and took more than 10 steps back. Every step he took created a big hole in the stone ground before he could stabilize himself. He felt something sweet in his throat and spat out a mouthful of blood. Jiang Tian's eyes were filled with killing intent. He stared at the Green Hill Palace and shouted, "Which bald donkey sneaked an attack? Come out and die." At that moment, Jiang Tian was really angry. If he hadn't broken through several levels after devouring the whirling divine tree, he might have died on the spot. Kong Teichu, what are you doing? This is the Green Hill Grand Meet. You can't be rash. The elders and eminent monks of the Heavenly Star Palace, the Giant Sword Sect, and the demon-subduing temple all shouted angrily. At the same time, they were secretly frightened. Not only was Master Ashenpine sent flying, but Master Xianxia, who was in the main hall, was also panting heavily. A few drops of blood seeped out of the corners of his mouth. He was obviously suffering from the backlash of his dermic powers. Seeing this, they were all shocked to the core. Master Xianxia was a fake core cultivator, and his seniority was even higher than Li Longyuan's. It was just that after the battle against Bai Zhe 1,000 years ago, he went into seclusion. Jiang Tian's current combat power was more than 10 times that of when he defeated Zhou Kaiyan. Could it be that Kong Teichu's cultivation had surpassed a fake core cultivator and was a golden core cultivator? Kong Teichu, this is the Green Hill Grand Meet. Powerful cultivators and exalted immortals are gathered here. You can't mess around. The deputy sect master of the Giant Sword sect roared loudly. Mess around? Ding Lai's mocking voice was heard and he sneered. Are you powerful cultivators or exalted immortals? Bah, you're just a bunch of despicable and shameless people who only know how to sneak attack. I'm glad that my name was removed from your list. I don't want to be with you at all. Ding Lai was agitated and cursed loudly. Jiang Tian stared at the Green Hill Palace and sneered. Bald donkey, you're not coming out to die, are you? There was no movement in the Green Hill Palace. After a while, Ding Lai's mocking voice rang out. They're scared out of their wits. They're discussing how to deal with you together. Ha! If you don't come out, I'll kill my way in. I'll kill you until you have nowhere to run. Suddenly, Jiang Tian's monstrous killing intent soared to the sky. This killing intent could even be seen with the naked eye. The thousands of people on the life and death platform immediately felt that terrifying killing intent, austere and violent. Even the spectators from the other mountains, even if they were a kilometer away, felt their hearts palpitating and found it difficult to breathe. All at once, none of the 10,000 cultivators, champions and over 1,000 exalted immortals dared to utter a word. Master Ashenpine, Shintij, Tsinghongyuan, and the other sect and city masters all looked at Jiang Tian in shock. Their bodies were tense, and they were on full alert. They realized that they had miscalculated. In other words, Desolation had made a mistake, a serious mistake. The demon-suppressing temple had also made a mistake. At first, it was demonic desire who swore that Jiang Tian was only at the second level of foundation establishment. Then, the demon-suppressing temple spread the news that Jiang Tian had been tainted by fiend qi at Crimson Thunder Mountain. As such, everyone thought that Jiang Tian's cultivation had dissipated after the fiend qi entered his body and he was now a cripple. However, who would have thought that even with Master Xiang and Master Ashenpine working together, Jiang Tian still had the advantage and was even suppressing them? At first, everyone was overbearing and mocking Kang Teichu because he had lost his cultivation and was easy to bully. But now, feeling Jiang Tian's terrifying aura, that vast and surging true essence, everyone was shocked. They were all scared. How was he a cripple? How was that the aura of a foundation establishment or false core? That was clearly the aura of a golden core. Oh, demonic desire, you're a scammer. At that moment, the wind howled like a tsunami. On Square Bamboo Peak, the boundless spirit qi between heaven and earth formed a gigantic funnel-shaped vortex with a radius of 3 kilometers, gathering above Jiang Tian's head. His strength is not affected at all. In fact, it's even stronger. At that moment, Chu Yunxiu was dumbfounded and her face was pale. As for Zhou Kaiyan and Li Zixing, they were wrapped in this vortex and spun like withered leaves. Blood dripped from their bodies as the true essence in their bodies flowed rapidly. If this continued, the two of them would die in less than 15 minutes. At that moment, Master Xiang in the Green Hill Palace was so shocked that his body was on the verge of collapsing. His face was pale as he said in a trembling voice, "This kid is so strong. I'm afraid we have to work together to suppress him. Palace Master Li, I'm afraid you have to do something." His sneak attack just now had succeeded, but it was shattered by Jiang Tian's violent true essence and mental energy. This was the difference between the quality of true essence and divine sense. Jiang Tian's true essence and divine sense were like refined steel, while theirs were like paper. This huge gap was not something he could make up for with various Buddhist techniques. Terrifying. Too terrifying. It's fine if you don't want to come out. Jiang Tian's handsome face was very dark. His gaze was as cold as a blade and his words were like spring thunder. Originally, I only wanted to kill a few culprits. But now I, Kang Teichu, don't mind going on a killing spree. Every word he uttered was like a giant cannon shooting across the sky. The rumbling sound waves had already materialized. Everything within 100 miles of the Green Hill Palace was shaking violently. From now on, all unrelated people must leave the Green Hill Palace within 3 minutes. Otherwise, you'll be my enemy and I'll kill without mercy. Jiang Tian uttered a mantra. His words were law. Waves of sound waves blasted towards the Green Hill Palace like torrential waves, stirring up waves of runes. In that instant, many protective arrays were activated, forming layers of light shields that enveloped the Green Hill Palace. However, the rest of the people outside the Green Hill Palace were not so lucky. Early-stage and mid-stage foundation establishment cultivators were knocked unconscious and sprawled on the ground. As for Qi refinement cultivators, they vomited blood and cried for their parents. In fact, even a layer of the life and death ring was scraped off by the berserk sound waves like a typhoon. The cultivators of the small and medium-sized sects such as Snake Lust Sect, Li Riversword Sect, and Wisdom Temple were all horrified as they retreated on streaks of light. That was the terror of Jiang Tian. At that moment, he was merely accumulating power to warn everyone. However, the materialization of sound waves could already shake the world and cause torrential waves. 3 minutes are up. I'm going to kill everyone here. Leave no one alive. A moment later, Jiang Tian swept his cold gaze towards Mieu, Master Ashenpine, Shintij, Yuan, and the others. What a terrifying gaze. Master, let's go. We could have stayed out of this. Fairy Miao Yi was only glanced at by Jiang Tian from the corner of his eye, but it was as if she had been stung by a poisonous scorpion. Her eyes, body, and soul trembled in pain. Take your junior brothers and sisters and leave. I have to stay here today. Otherwise, a bitter smile appeared at the corner of Miu's mouth as he shook his head gently. She knew very well that if she left now, Li Longyuan would definitely not let her go. Jiang Tian would not let her go either. After all, she had spread the news that Jiang Tian's cultivation was only at the second stage foundation establishment realm. Whether it was Jiang Tian or the people of the Starry Sky Palace, they all hated her to the core. Fairy Miao Yi sighed softly and flew to Jiang Tian's side. She pleaded, Immortal Master Jiang, can I take Ding Lingdang away? Don't worry, even if I die, I will ensure her safety. Jiang Tian's expression did not change as he sent out a gentle force, pushing the two women back several hundred meters. Then, without saying anything, he took a step forward and a torrential wave of air surged out. Bang! Li Zixing didn't even have the time to let out a shrill cry. He only let out a muffled groan before he directly exploded, transforming into a rain of sparkling and translucent flesh that rained down onto the ground. Jiang Tian was expressionless. He took a second step and waved his hand. Zhou Yunkai's ugly head flew 100 meters into the air, carrying a trail of blood. His body also exploded. Bang! Jiang Tian's eyes were cold as he took a third step. A dazzling golden sword light about 100 meters long condensed and swept towards Master Ashenpine. Block! Master Ashenpine cried out in shock. He used many defensive techniques one after another, and cyan light shields that were as heavy as cold iron overlapped and protected his body. At the same time, 7 or 8 Dharma treasures and spirit treasures exploded together, turning into restrictions and defenses to block. But everything was useless under Jiang Tian's sharp sword aura. The restrictions and defenses exploded like paper. Master Ashenpine screamed and spat out blood. He flew backward like a rag doll. His skin and flesh were torn and blood flowed out. Even if he's not a golden core cultivator, his strength is comparable to a golden core cultivator. He was terrified and crawled back to the Green Hill Palace, looking at Jiang Tian in disbelief. He had never thought that Jiang Tian was so powerful. Kong Techu, it's not your turn to be presumptuous here. Suddenly, the 4 elders of the Heavenly Star Palace and the 8 new elites, a total of 12 people, jumped out and stabbed their swords at Jiang Tian. They were all peak stage foundation establishment cultivators and had even formed a fake core. They were from the same sect and often cultivated together. At this time, their jumping and stabbing movements were in sync. The sword chi gathered together and was as powerful as a golden core cultivator's attack. Open, open, open. Jiang Tian didn't stop. He took the 4th step and patted the sky-devouring demonic gourd. 9 flying swords whizzed through the air. The flying swords whizzed through the air like rainbows, sweeping, slashing, stabbing, and slashing wildly. It was dazzling. Clap, clap, clap. The sword chi of the 12 elites of the Heavenly Star Palace exploded in an instant. They didn't have a chance to gather at all. Poof, poof, poof. 5 geniuses and 3 elders were decapitated on the spot. They did not even have time to scream before their heads flew high into the air. Although the other 4 could still survive, they were still severely injured and covered in blood. They retreated toward the Green Hill Palace in horror. But the 9 flying swords swept out on their own and launched a second attack. The 4 elites didn't even run a few steps before their bodies exploded, turning into a crystal blood mist in the air. Jiang Tian had taken the 5th step. The 9 flying swords circled in the air and drew an elegant arc, attacking the hundreds of exalted immortals who had yet to escape. No! Grand Primordium Celestial Master, we're willing to surrender. Grand Primordium Celestial Master, we're willing to fight side by side with you. Some of these exalted immortals were from the Heavenly Star Palace, and some were from other small and medium-sized sections. But all of them were late-stage Foundation establishment cultivators, and there was no lack of city lords and sect masters among them. But at this time, their guts were broken and their souls were about to leave their bodies. Jiang Tian had severely injured Master Ashenpine with just one step and crushed the 4 elders and 8 elites of the Heavenly Star Palace. This kind of combat power was too shocking. He was completely at the Golden Core level. How would they dare to resist? I've already given you a chance. However, Jiang Tian was already enraged in his heart. How could he hold back? So, go to hell. Jiang Tian let out a short shout, and the flying sword madly attacked. Chapter 954. Jiang Tian's 9 flying swords came from the ruins of immortality and had been refined by Jiang Tian several times. They could be considered supreme-grade numinous treasures, and each of them was very powerful. The meteorite was made of meteoric iron and was the heaviest. It rushed to the front and forcefully split a hall apart with a clang. Many of the grand formations and restrictions in the hall shone brightly and then dimmed. Runes were broken, and bricks were sent flying. The rest of the flying swords swarmed over like streaks of green rainbows piercing through the sun. The Spring Thunder Sword instantly shot out tens of thousands of lightning bolts, and the exalted immortals were electrocuted into ashes. Their bodies exploded, and they died. The other flying swords were not willing to be left behind. They brought along rainbow-like sword lights and danced wildly in the air. Sword chi was eerie, like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. Every sword slash brought about more than 10 waves of blood that soared into the sky, representing the death of more than 10 exalted immortals. The Imperial Wind Sword was the fastest. It rushed like a meteor toward the fleeing exalted immortals, killing one with each slash. Blood and flesh flew everywhere, and screams echoed in the sky. In an instant, hundreds of exalted immortals were defeated. The miserable cries and screams shook the heavens and earth as experts fell like rain. No Dharma treasure, divine ability, true essence, or mountain protection formation could escape the sharpness of Jiang Tian's flying swords. In the blink of an eye, Jiang Tian had killed 300 exalted immortals. Every time he slashed out, blood flowed like a river, and corpses were everywhere. Even the cold-hearted Lady Desireless turned pale, and cold sweat covered her back. At this moment, she was in a daze, and her tall body was trembling. She couldn't help but think of Jiang Tian's words in front of Jadewell Peak. "You should be grateful that I ran away today." At first, she thought that Jiang Tian was just being stubborn and bluffing. Now, she realized that Jiang Tian was not exaggerating at all. It could be said that Jiang Tian's current combat strength could completely crush a fake core cultivator. If she went up, she wouldn't be able to last more than 3 rounds. Could this be his true strength? Is this his trump card? Fairy Miao Yi stood on her flying sword and watched from a few miles away with Ding Lingdeng. She was dumbstruck. Big Brother Jiang is too awesome. He could definitely compete with Li Longyuan. My father can be saved. After Ding Lingdeng recovered from her shock, her face was filled with excitement as she cheered. Still not coming out to die? Bald thief, Li Longyuan. Jiang Tian patted the sky-devouring demonic gourd again. Whoosh, whoosh. Another 9,000 flying swords shot out. The flying swords were densely packed and blotted out the sky as they charged towards the Green Hill Palace. Each of these flying swords swallowed and spat out sharp sword energy, vast true essence. The sword radiance was like a monstrous wave, like a mountain toppling over, like a tsunami. Nothing could stop it. If the attack landed on the main hall of Qingqiu, judging from the momentum alone, the hall would definitely collapse. Not many people would survive. At that moment, a cold snort came from the main hall of Qingqiu. Suddenly, Jiang Tian's flying swords seemed to have encountered an invisible barrier. They hovered in the air and could not advance at all. Then, the barrier shook and the flying swords flew back towards Jiang Tian. "Ha, Li Longyuan, are you finally coming out?" Jiang Tian laughed and waved his hand. The flying swords were like swimming fish, entering the sky-devouring demonic gourd in the blink of an eye. "Li Longyuan is coming out." In that instant, the many people that were killed by Jiang Tian to the point of crying for their parents all revealed expressions of wild joy. That cold snort alone could block Jiang Tian's flying swords. Li Longyuan was indeed Li Longyuan. At that moment, a figure rose into the sky from the main hall of Qingqiu. How impressive! Li Longyuan's robes fluttered as he walked with his hands behind his back. He looked down at Jiang Tian and snorted. I thought that I wouldn't have to do it myself today. It would be good for my disciples to gain some experience. Originally, he had plundered the stellar sky domain and made it hard for the people to make a living. The middle and lower class cultivators and commoners complained. This time, he let the 9 prodigies, the feather uniform guards, and the various sect masters take action to show the results of his years of tyranny to the stellar sky domain. I've nurtured so many elites. Any one of them can kill the number 1 person in the Earth domain. In the future, the stellar sky domain will have a bright future. It's just a matter of time before we become a 3rd-grade hidden sect. Who would have thought that Jiang Tian would keep breaking new records? Annihilating the feather uniform guards, killing Zhou Yunkai, suppressing the 8 prodigies, suppressing 2 fake elixir core sect masters, and killing 300 exalted immortals with 1 sword. He was invincible. Anyone who stood in his way died. How terrifying! The stellar sky domain had suffered heavy losses. If this carried on, who knew how many more people Jiang Tian would kill? At that moment, Li Longyuan had no choice but to come out. From the looks of it, it was difficult for the others to be Jiang Tian's match. Li Longyuan looked at Jiang Tian carefully. He actually looked surprised. I didn't expect you to be so powerful at such a young age. You're qualified for me to take action. You're indeed talented. You're indeed the number 1 person in the Earth domain. You can still have such a cultivation level in a place without spirit energy. If you wait 100 years, I might not be your match. Suddenly, he looked at Jiang Tian with disdain and sighed. What a pity. You're too eager. You're only at the fake core realm now, and you want to challenge me. Today, I'll turn you into ashes. You talk too much. Jiang Tian's eyes were cold. He was about to attack. Shen Tij also stepped out from the main hall and flew behind Li Longyuan. He sneered. Kong Teichu, you're just an ant from the wasteland Earth domain. You've learned some unorthodox skills by chance, but you want to challenge the heavenly star small world. You're really overconfident. He held a sky piercer in his hand and pointed at Jiang Tian. He mocked. Huh, you think the number 1 person in the Earth domain is so great? Actually, it's just a wasteland. An ant will always be an ant, and a barbarian will always be a barbarian. You're just a slightly bigger ant. You're walking right into a trap. Yi Tianren stepped out from the crowd and shouted, You're also from the ancient Earth domain. Earth is your ancestral land and hometown. What right do you have to mock and despise us? He had always hated the so-called hidden sect world and those high and mighty immortals. At that moment he felt better. The relationship between Earth and the hidden sect world was very simple. For example, it was like a worker leaving his hometown with all the resources and financial support from his family to develop a little in the city. Now that the worker was rich and prosperous, he despised his hometown for being poor and backward. He even restricted the development of his hometown and wanted to annex his hometown to make it his own private property. I'm an ant? Ha, no, today, I'm going to tear you to pieces. Jiang Tian shouted. Kong Teichu, the battle just now was just a test for you. It's just an appetizer. Today's battle has just begun. Shen Tij's armor was bright and his red battle robe fluttered. He was like a peerless general. At that moment, his face was full of anger. He stepped into the air and smashed the sky piercer in his hand toward Jiang Tian. The sky piercer was like a horned dragon. Its long shaft was densely covered with dragon scales. The small branches on the sky piercer were like dragon claws and sharp like a dragon's head. The moment the sky piercer smashed down, an azure dragon rushed into the sky. It was hundreds of meters long. It stretched out its huge claws and grabbed toward Jiang Tian. That Shen Tij's roar was like rolling thunder. His dantian shone with endless green light, spreading a huge halo hundreds of meters around him. It made him look like a god. What? Shen Tej actually broke through to the Golden Core realm. Master Ashen Pine stared at his Dantian. His expression changed drastically as he exclaimed. Shen Tej was once Li Longyuan's personal disciple. 100 years ago, he was Li Longyuan's right-hand man. He helped Li Longyuan conquer various major sects and shocked the entire stellar sky domain. He achieved immortal achievements and made great contributions. However, he had been stuck at the pseudo-core realm. Although he went into seclusion many times, he didn't improve for hundreds of years. He didn't expect to break through to the Golden Core realm recently. Yes, you didn't expect it, right? I went into seclusion for 20 years and finally stepped into the first stage of the Golden Core realm. Shen Tej had been hiding his cultivation all this time. Now he finally revealed it. At this time, he was simply full of ambition and pride. He roared proudly, "Kong Teichu, today, I will kill you, the #1 person on earth, to establish the cornerstone of my supreme immortal path." Shen Tej broke through to the Golden Core realm. Miyu was shocked. Shen Tej's combat power had already surpassed his. He sighed and said, "This sky piercer was refined by a Golden Core realm expert of the Stellar Sky Palace using a true dragon's soul and grand unity gold. For hundreds of years, it was fed and nourished by countless souls that died tragically. It took 100 years to refine this immortal artifact." Master Ashen Pine also couldn't believe it. Previously, Shen Tej couldn't activate this immortal artifact when he was at the pseudo-core realm. Now, he finally burst out with all his combat power. Golden Core. The Stellar Sky Palace actually released a second Golden Core. The tens of thousands of people present were shocked and looked at Shen Tej with admiration and envy. Shen Tej actually broke through to the Golden Core realm. But Xiao Yingluo, Ding Lingdang and Fairy Miao Yi were deeply nervous. The strongest opponent Jiang Tian had faced before was Master Ashen Pine. But Master Ashen Pine was only at the pseudo-core realm. It was just that the structure of the Golden Core was not solid enough and was between the Foundation Establishment realm and the Golden Core realm. As for Golden Core realm experts, their true essence was compressed to the extreme and formed into a solid Golden Core. Their true essence was 10 times more vast, their physical body was 10 times more tyrannical, and their combat power was 10 times more powerful. This was equivalent to 10 Master Ashen Pines, 10 sect masters or city lords, attacking Jiang Tian together. What's more, he also had an immortal artifact refined by a Golden Core realm expert. Shen Tej, you didn't waste my hundreds of years of hard teaching. You didn't waste my hard work in collecting cultivation resources. Even Li Longyuan showed some approval. The Azure Mystic sect Daoist was his son, so he naturally doted on him the most. But Shen Tej was his proudest disciple. He had already received 80% of his true teachings. Coupled with the suppression of the immortal artifact, Kong Teichu will definitely die. Li Longyuan's face was full of mockery as he made the final decision. He was too lazy to watch anymore. With a contemptuous look, he flicked his sleeves and turned to walk into the Green Hill Palace. Chapter 955. At this moment, although the strength that Jiang Tian displayed was very strong, his cultivation was definitely not at the Golden Core level. That was because the Dantian of a Golden Core cultivator was not like that at all. When a Golden Core cultivator entered the False Core stage and began to condense a Golden Core, they would start polishing their Essence Core. Once it was condensed to the extreme, it would trigger lightning tribulations and even many other tribulations. After continuous tempering and going through countless difficulties and dangers, they would finally compress their true core into a solid state and condense a Golden Core. The Dantian of a Golden Core cultivator was as vast as the ocean, as heavy as a mountain, and as solid as a divine metal. Therefore, Jiang Tian could only be a False Core cultivator. A False Core cultivator facing a Golden Core cultivator was like a 3-year-old baby facing a prehistoric giant, completely vulnerable. Moreover, he had an immortal item. At this moment, Not many people thought that Jiang Tian would be a match for Shintij. Immortal item? Not good enough. In the field, Jiang Tian sneered. Of course, the heavenly halberd was good, but it was only a superior grade spiritual treasure. It was still far from being a real immortal item. One had to know that a real immortal item was usually refined with the blood of a cultivator who had gone through a tribulation. How could a Dharma treasure refined by a golden core cultivator be considered an immortal item? It could only be said that the people of the heavenly star small world were too short-sighted. It's enough to kill you. Shintij's eyes were as deep as the stars, and his black hair flew like a waterfall. His battle intent surged like a tide as he stepped forward, the heavenly halberd aimed at Jiang Tian's chest. The true dragon's shadow on the heavenly halberd was very condensed, as if it was real. As it bared its fangs and brandished its claws, lightning flashed. These lightning bolts were formed by vengeful spirits, mixed with true core and energy. A single lightning bolt could kill a late-stage foundation establishment cultivator. Shintij's speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he crossed hundreds of meters and arrived in front of Jiang Tian. He wanted to pierce Jiang Tian's chest with his heavenly halberd, destroy his physical body, and refine his soul. Get lost. You are not qualified to fight with me. Jiang Tian's eyes were full of contempt and coldness. When the heavenly halberd was close to him, he flicked his finger. This kid is too arrogant. That's right. This is an immortal item, and it's even activated by a gold core expert. Even a gold core expert wouldn't dare to fight it head-on. Many people present exclaimed in surprise and shook their heads secretly. There was disdain on their faces, thinking that Jiang Tian was too arrogant. But in the next moment, everyone's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Their expressions turned into complete shock and disbelief. Jiang Tian flicked his finger, and a vast amount of true essence shot out like a massive pillar, piercing through the skies. Bang! Bam! The true dragon's shadow was shattered, and the sky piercer exploded in the air as if it was made of tofu. The remaining power of the golden finger beam did not diminish. Like a high-speed train, it slammed heavily into Shintij's chest. How is this possible? Shintij cried out in alarm. His face was filled with horror. He continuously stepped on the air and retreated like a shooting star. Block! Block! As he roared, he activated many protective divine powers and Dharma treasures, trying to block Jiang Tian's finger beam. However, Jiang Tian's finger beam was no longer what it used to be. It was extremely powerful, as heavy as a mountain, and its speed far exceeded the speed of sound. Bang bang bang. Muffled sounds exploded like thunder. Earth-shattering explosions set off billowing air waves that spread in all directions. Under Jiang Tian's finger beam, Shintij's many protective Dharma treasures and divine powers were shattered one after another like paper. Shintij's face was filled with pain. His body shook violently and he was about to die in the next second. At that critical moment, a strangely shaped Dharma treasure appeared and blocked Jiang Tian's finger beam. Even so, Shintij was still sent flying a few hundred meters away, crashing into a few giant pillars of the Green Hill Palace and rolling into the palace. The entire place was dead silent. The vast Green Hill Mountain, which had a radius of more than 10 miles, was so silent that even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. The tens of thousands of people present were dumbfounded. Nobody could say a word. Everyone looked at Jiang Tian, who was standing in the air, in confusion, shock, fear, and disbelief, as if they were looking at a fiend god. He defeated a golden core cultivator with one finger. And he's a golden core cultivator with a supreme deity artifact. Kong Teichu must have surpassed the golden core cultivator level. Only after a full 5 seconds did everyone come back to their senses. They began to whisper to each other and discuss animatedly. Everyone's evaluation of Jiang Tian was crazily refreshed again. They were so shocked that they were almost numb. The spirit chi on earth has dried up and the inheritances have been cut off. Since when did such a terrifying being appear? Besides, he's not even 30 years old yet. What level will he be at in another 10 or 100 years? Is Mieu blind? When did he reach the second level of the foundation establishment level? Everyone's hearts were in turmoil and their bodies shook violently. Everyone was in disbelief and disbelief, as if they had seen a ghost. They kept complaining about Miayu. I've really misjudged him. His chi concealment technique is too amazing. Miayu finally understood and his face was red with embarrassment. Defeating a golden core cultivator with one finger. That was clearly the strength of a cultivator above the golden core cultivator level, and it was already a level that the energy explosion pill could not push to. Previously, Jiang Tian's performance at the second level of the foundation establishment level could only be one reason. That was Jiang Tian's chi concealment technique was amazing, or his true essence was unbelievably dense. At this time, everyone realized that whether Jiang Tian was a golden core cultivator or not, he had the strength to kill a golden core cultivator. That was too terrifying. Countless people were so scared that their souls were leaving their bodies and they were trembling. Bastard! I'm going to cut you into pieces. Shen Tij's heart protection mirror was broken. His body was covered in blood, his hair was disheveled and his handsome face was covered in soot. He rushed out of the Green Hill Palace again, gritting his teeth and glaring at Jiang Tian with hatred. He could not stand such a defeat. He had finally broken through to the Golden Core Cultivator level, and he wanted to kill Jiang Tian and make a name for himself. However, Jiang Tian broke his immortal artifact and sent him flying a few hundred meters away like a dead dog. He had become a complete joke. Shen Tij, step back. Today, I will personally kill this bastard. Li Longyuan kept his immortal artifact. It was a star tree that was shining brightly. There were 7 branches on it, and at the top of each branch was a ball that looked like a star. It was arranged according to the order of the Big Dipper and emitted thousands of rays of light. It had an aura that could command the galaxy. The Big Dipper tree was used by the Saint Sect's master in the past. It was the immortal artifact that suppressed the Golden Core exalted immortals and intimidated the Stellar Sky domain. I didn't expect Li Longyuan to use such an immortal artifact just to kill this ant from Earth. Master Ashenpine's face revealed a touch of shock. His eyes were burning with greed and envy as he swallowed a few mouthfuls of saliva. Then, he regained his sense of superiority and looked at Jiang Tian proudly. Kong Teichu, Palace Master Li is going to personally attack you with such a powerful immortal artifact. This time, you are dead. It is no exaggeration to say that killing you is like killing a chicken. Seeing that Li Longyuan was going to attack, Seng Hongyuan, Shen Tij, Chu Yonghui and the others all heaved a long sigh of relief. Master, please help us suppress this evil. Master is a man of great talent and vision. He will unite the Heavenly Star Realm and kill Kong Teichu like killing a chicken. A cultivator from Earth is like an insect. He can't even survive 1 or 2 moves in front of the Palace Master. Many disciples of the Starry Sky Palace were shocked. Then, they bowed deeply to Li Longyuan, flattering him like a tide, and flattery flew everywhere. Master has finally made a move. Master is our great savior. Some were even so excited that tears streamed down their faces and wailed loudly. The Heavenly Star Small World had formed a structure similar to a political regime, and the Heavenly Star Palace was like a court. Li Longyuan was mean and ungrateful. If one wanted to do well in the Heavenly Star Palace, flattery was the basic skill. But at the same time, Li Longyuan was indeed an amazing person. He was the first powerhouse to break through to the Golden Core realm after the collapse of many formations and the imbalance of spirit chi. He was also very good at personal worship, so these disciples respected him as if he was a god. Kong Teichu, even if you are a Golden Core realm cultivator, I'm afraid you are only at the 1st or 2nd level. How can you be a match for Palace Master Li? Seng Hongyuan was originally so scared by Jiang Tian that he did not dare to show his face, but at this moment he regained his arrogance. Kong Teichu, Senior Li has made a move. Today you are dead, huh? At the edge of the square, Chu Yonghui also laughed gloatingly. Jiang Tian's combat power was indeed amazing. If Li Longyuan cherished his reputation and did not make a move, everyone would be in big trouble today. That was because everyone could tell that Jiang Tian was truly enraged. He was about to unleash a massacre. It was simply a bloody massacre. But so what? Once Li Longyuan made a move, everything would change. After all, he was a third-stage Golden Core realm powerhouse. Chu Yonghui gritted his teeth and snorted coldly. Do you really think there is no one in the heavenly star domain? Do you really think that you, an ant from the earth domain, can do whatever you want here? Chu Yonghui looked up to the sky and laughed. Deep in his eyes, there was a madness of revenge. Not only him, but everyone present was relieved and restored their previous disdain and contempt for Jiang Tian. Indeed, Kang Teichu was very strong. Especially since he could rise in this wasteland where spirit qi was scarce, cultivate to the Golden Core realm, and refine the demonic aura in his body. He could be called a genius that was hard to come by in 1,000 years. However, the difference in cultivation level was huge. It was not something that could be made up with talent. After all, Li Longyuan had cultivated for hundreds of years and had already stepped into the third-stage Golden Core realm. Even if Jiang Tian was at the perfected second-stage Golden Core realm, he was no match for him. Noisy. Jiang Tian flicked his finger. With a snap, a finger light pierced through. Chu Yonghui's head exploded, and red and white matter scattered. The headless corpse fell to the ground. You really think I can't kill you? It's just that I had forgotten about you, but your roar reminded me. Jiang Tian chuckled leisurely. Originally, he did not kill the Chu father and daughter because he wanted to subdue the great demon, Bai Zhe. Now that he had achieved his goal, why keep them alive? Father, you died so miserably. Chu Yunxiu was stunned. Then, she hugged her father's headless corpse and burst into tears. However, she did not dare to insult Jiang Tian. Because Jiang Tian was just like Jiang Tian said. It was not that Jiang Tian could not kill them. It was just that they were too weak, and Jiang Tian was too lazy to pay attention to them. Is it very uncomfortable? Then I will set you free. You can die too. Jiang Tian flicked his finger, and another finger light shot toward Chu Yunxiu. Chapter 956. Kang Teichu, do you think I don't exist? Li Longyuan yelled. He pointed the star tree in his hand, and a dazzling starlight burst out, deflecting Jiang Tian's finger light. Boom! The golden finger light hit the ground and exploded. The life and death field shook violently, creating a huge pit with a radius of 100 meters. Jijijiji. Chu Yunxiu was so scared that she couldn't even cry. She covered her mouth and didn't dare to speak. Jjjjjj. At this time, she was sweating profusely. Her teeth were chattering like a machine gun, and her whole body was trembling. If that finger beam had landed on his body, he would have been reduced to ashes. Come here. I won't allow you to kill people. Li Longyuan shouted with a cold look in his eyes. The stellar sky domain was his world. He was like an emperor. The people here were his subjects. He could kill them, but he would never allow Jiang Tian to do so. Tisk, you're just a tyrant, a lone wolf. Why are you pretending to be a wise saint? But Jiang Tian smiled disdainfully. Then he glanced at the crowd and mocked. It's too early for you to be happy. Do you really think I'm not Li Longyuan's opponent? Too early for you to be happy? Li Longyuan was furious. He sneered. Kang Teichu, you're indeed a talented person. You're the most talented person in the Earth domain in the past 1,000 years. If you wait another 10 years, you might be able to surpass me, Li Longyuan. He looked at Jiang Tian with disdain. I've said it before. You shouldn't have provoked the heavenly star small world when your cultivation was still low. That's the same as offending us cultivators. Now, I'll kill you like killing a chicken. Today, I'll cut you into pieces and refine your soul for 100 years. I'll tell the Earth domain the consequences of looking down on the stellar sky domain. I'll also avenge my beloved son who died tragically. As soon as he finished speaking, his killing intent soared to the heavens. The Big Dipper tree in his hand was like a divine tree that opened up Hongmeng and supported the myriad of worlds, and it emitted a myriad of clear radiances. Immediately, the vast starry sky became filled with resplendent stars. The mysterious phenomenon of the Big Dipper appeared behind him. The ripple-like starlight seemed bright and peaceful, but it contained endless murderous intent as it rushed towards Jiang Tian. Anomalies were existences that far surpassed sword moves, sword intent, and sword gleams. Some were strange beasts, some were divine objects, some were mountains, rivers, lakes, and seas, some were stars, but they were extremely difficult to cultivate. The might of the Big Dipper phenomenon was unfathomable. 300 years ago, Li Longyuan had once utilized this phenomenon to annihilate a myriad of cultivators and greater demons. He was invincible and suppressed the heavenly star's small world, and no one could stand against him. This, the first move, is a fatal blow. When Miayu saw this, his expression changed drastically in disbelief. Too ruthless. Ding Lai's face turned pale and his heart skipped a beat. He clenched his fists and was sweating for Jiang Tian. The Big Dipper phenomenon was passed down from the sect master of the heavenly god. But many people thought that the sect master of the heavenly god might not be the real creator, but an ancient grand cultivator. This cultivation art was definitely worthy of its reputation. It was said that when this cultivation art was cultivated to the extreme, it could tear apart the sky and earth, destroy mountains, and even destroy giant cities. In the past few hundred years, countless greater demons, and sect masters were no match for it. They were easily killed, destroyed, or even ground to dust. Ding Lai once saw with his own eyes that Li Longyuan used only a ray of starlight to kill a traitorous fake core overlord. "Brother Jiang, be careful." Ding Lingdang also turned pale and shouted from afar, but she was too far away and Jiang Tian might not be able to hear her. Clang, clang, clang. The Big Dipper rotated like planets. It was very real and one could even see the mountains and hills on it. They were as bright as jade and had a gentle glow. Streaks of starlight that were like feathers, steel needles, or shattered crystals were sparkling and translucent. Faint clanging sounds could be heard. Wherever the starlight went, the air twisted and shook as if it were about to be destroyed. Terrifying cracks appeared on the hard ground of the life and death square. They were 1/2 a meter wide. The cracks were like spider webs and immediately covered the entire square. Even the huge square bamboo peak shook violently as if it couldn't withstand the pressure. Retreat. Even though they weren't directly under the pressure of the starlight, they were only affected. Shen Tij, Master Ashen Pine, and Mia Yu and the other sect masters and city lords felt that their bodies were about to be torn apart. Their divine powers were suppressed and their divine wills were almost destroyed. They felt extremely uncomfortable and quickly retreated to the Green Hill Palace. The starlight shone a few hundred meters in the sky and its terrifying power had already spread to the other mountains. Some Foundation establishment overlords were pierced by a ray of starlight and their bodies immediately exploded, turning into a rain of flesh. In the blink of an eye, the starlight was about to reach Jiang Tian's head and pierce through him. "Huh, you're just a golden core cultivator and you want to create a phenomenon like a nascent soul overlord? How dare you?" It was also at this moment that a wisp of a disdainful smile appeared on the corners of Jiang Tian's mouth as he brazenly attacked. Boom! There was a deafening sound that traveled 10 kilometers. Jiang Tian's true essence exploded and the Xianwater Azure Dragon appeared. Immediately, a 1-kilometer-long Azure Dragon appeared behind Jiang Tian. Azure Dragon's domineering figure was surrounded by streams of black mystical water. Dazzling lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. That area turned into a sea of mystical water and lightning intertwined. Suddenly, a powerful energy spread in all directions. Dust billowed and the earth shook. Everyone couldn't withstand it and they were terrified. What's that? An Azure Dragon? Is it also a kind of phenomenon? Or is it formed by true essence? Everyone felt suffocated. Even the false core overlords couldn't withstand the terrifying energy. Their bones creaked and their organs felt like they were about to be crushed. Faster than words could describe, the gigantic Azure Dragon's scales were thick and dense. Fierce light shot out from his huge eyes. He bared his fangs and brandished his claws. He opened his bloody mouth and roared, abruptly inhaling the starlight. Crack, crack. Under the suction of the azure dragon, whether it was the watery starlight, the sharp starlight, or even the 7 planets, they could not withstand a single blow and were instantly shattered. The azure dragon swallowed all the starlight and planets like a whale swallowing a cow. How is this possible? Li Longyuan's expression changed drastically, and he was dumbstruck. His body staggered, and he almost fell from the sky. He used his most powerful attack right from the start. He thought he could instantly kill Jiang Tian, but he didn't expect Jiang Tian to transform into the azure dragon mystic water body and swallow the phenomenon, which took him by surprise. The entire place was dead silent. Everyone was dumbfounded and couldn't believe what they were hearing. This azure dragon was simply too terrifying. It could destroy the starlight and swallow the Big Dipper phenomenon. Jiang Tian cast a spell and cast his Abhijna. The green dragon mystic water divine body immediately attacked violently, unleashing endless power. Boom! The black water azure dragon's 10-meter-long giant claw covered the sky as it slammed down heavily at Li Longyuan, accompanied by crackling lightning and black water. "You can't kill me!" Li Longyuan shouted. The Big Dipper tree in his hand let out waves of starlight and rose into the sky with endless power. It seemed to be able to lift up the sky. Clang! The scaly azure dragon's claw hit the Big Dipper tree and a destructive power was instantly unleashed. The vast black water and lightning forcefully shattered and annihilated the space within a radius of several hundred meters, forming a vacuum. Violent air currents poured in from all directions. Tsing Hongyuan, Shintij, Mieu and Master Ashen Pine immediately flew in as if they were attracted by a black hole. They used many divine powers and secret arts, but they were only able to stabilize themselves after flying for more than 10 meters. However, some of the cultivators with lower cultivation bases were not so lucky. After being sucked into that space, they were crushed and torn to pieces. The Big Dipper tree floated in the air and shook violently. After 3 breaths, it suddenly let out a crisp sound and many terrifying cracks appeared. Then it collapsed. There was a loud rumble. The azure dragon's giant claw slammed down, shattering Li Longyuan's protective astral wind. Li Longyuan fell from a height of hundreds of meters and heavily smashed into the ground, creating a huge crater with a radius of 10 meters. His body, which was said to be immortal for 1,000 years, was torn and bleeding. In the pit, his robe was torn and his hair was messy. He kept coughing up blood and moaning. He was suppressed by the azure dragon's mystic water and lightning. He couldn't even move his fingers, let alone resist. What? Li Longyuan lost. Mieu, Master Ashen Pine, Shintij, Tsing Hongyuan and the other sect and city lords were all dumbfounded. They couldn't believe it. Li Longyuan couldn't even withstand one attack from a real deity artifact? What is Kong Teichu's level? Everyone was dumbfounded. A chill rose from the bottom of their hearts and went up their spines to the top of their heads. They felt as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. No matter what level he is at, his combat power is at least at the mid-stage of the golden core level. Miu's eyes almost popped out. His scalp was numb and his head was buzzing. It was about to explode. Today, her impression of Jiang Tian was refreshed by the cruel reality again and again. From a cripple who had lost all his cultivation to the fake core level, then to the golden core level, then to the mid-stage of the golden core level, he had advanced like a hurricane. It was as if there was no end to it. Now, she even had the feeling of looking up at a tall mountain and looking down at a bottomless abyss that was unfathomable and unable to see through Jiang Tian. Chu Yunxiu was also dumbfounded. Her beautiful eyes almost popped out. Her pretty face was full of disbelief. She only felt that Jiang Tian was like an ancient giant god who could tear the sky apart with one hand and smash the stellar sky continent into pieces with one punch. Li Longyuan, didn't you say that you could kill me like killing a chicken? Aren't you very strong? Come. Get up and fight with me. Jiang Tian put the azure dragon mystic water divine body back into his energy center and looked down at Li Longyuan with disdain. Chapter 957. Li Longyuan was corroded by the black water and lightning. His dantian, meridians, and bones were all damaged. At this moment, his entire body was covered in blood and he was gasping for breath. He could only inhale and not exhale. Only his eyes were still filled with resentment. Master Ashen Pine, didn't you want him to kill me? Come and kill me. Jiang Tian looked at Master Ashen Pine and sneered. Master Ashen Pine was so scared that his whole body trembled. He was like a little white rabbit meeting a fierce tiger. Now he wanted Li Longyuan to kill Jiang Tian? What kind of joke was this? Li Longyuan couldn't even protect himself. Master Ashen Pine didn't know whether to kneel and admit defeat to Jiang Tian or fight to the death with Jiang Tian. Slap. Suddenly, Jiang Tian raised his hand and slapped Master Ashen Pine's face. Master Ashen Pine was sent flying dozens of meters away and fell heavily on the ground. He lay there like a dead dog and couldn't get up. So what if I killed Daoist Graphite? So what if I destroyed your giant sword sect and killed your sect master? Jiang Tian raised his hand and a powerful suction force pulled Master Ashen Pine over and grabbed his throat. Immortal Master Jiang, don't kill me. My giant sword sect is willing to submit. Master Ashen Pine sensed Jiang Tian's cold killing intent and couldn't help but be scared out of his wits. He struggled futilely and screamed miserably. Begging for mercy? Jiang Tian's eyes were full of contempt. Then his handsome face turned cold and he said coldly, "What were you doing earlier? It's too late." Crack. There was a crisp sound. Jiang Tian directly crushed his neck. Then, purple lightning shot out from Jiang Tian's eyes. Master Ashen Pine's head and dantian exploded. A violent aura burst out uncontrollably. Blood, broken bones, and ashes scattered all over Chu Yunxiu. The whole place was dead silent. It was extremely quiet. There were tens of thousands of cultivators on Qingqiu Mountain, but there wasn't even the slightest sound. At this moment, everyone was terrified, trembling, and sweating profusely. They were flabbergasted, yet they couldn't say a single word. The giant sword sect's sect leader, Master Ashen Pine. He was at the grand completion pseudo-pill realm, but he was crushed to death by Jiang Tian with a raise of his hand. He did not even have the strength to resist. Demon God. A peerless demon. It was too terrifying. It was a complete massacre, without any mercy. Moreover, his strength was too strong. His cultivation was simply unfathomable. Heavenly Star's immortal cultivators and sect masters, what's so great about them? Isn't it just a matter of raising a hand to kill him? Jiang Tian killed the sect leader as if he were killing a chick. He casually flicked the non-existent ashes on his fingers. Immortal Master Jiang, don't kill me. Jiang Tian didn't intend to kill anyone when he flicked his finger, but Seng Hongyuan was so scared that his legs went soft. Plop. He knelt on the ground. He thought that Jiang Tian was going to use his finger beam again. Jiang Tian couldn't be bothered with him. Instead, he walked to the side of the giant pit, raised his hand, and grabbed Li Longyuan over. Your heavenly star small world is not to be offended? Jiang Tian asked with a smile. Concute. Li Longyuan glared at Jiang Tian, his hatred overflowing to the heavens. His son, Li Qingxian, had died in the hands of Jiang Tian. However, not only did he not kill Jiang Tian to avenge his son, but he was also defeated, humiliated, and trampled on by Jiang Tian in an instant. This made him hate Jiang Tian to the core. Cheap mouth. Do you think you have the right to call my name? Slap. Jiang Tian slapped Li Longyuan's face. Blood spurted out from his nose, and he shook his head and tail. Jiang Tian smiled and said, "Tell me, Kong Teichu. So what if I killed your son and offended your heavenly star domain?" Slap. Jiang Tian slapped Li Longyuan again. Li Longyuan's face was smashed, and his flesh and blood splattered everywhere. He asked, "I, Kong Teichu, am an ant in the wasteland? You are a high and mighty immortal cultivator? So what if I hit you now?" Slap. "I want to humiliate you and bully you. So what?" Every time Jiang Tian asked a question, he would slap Li Longyuan. After asking 10 questions, he slapped Li Longyuan 10 times. Li Longyuan's head had turned into a bloody gourd. His cheekbones were broken, and he looked extremely miserable. Slept. Finally, Jiang Tian smashed Li Longyuan onto the ground like a rag. Then, he stepped on Li Longyuan's face and looked around. He asked coldly, "This is the number one person in Heavenly Star Domain?" He pointed at Li Longyuan, who was under his feet, and looked at the crowd. He mocked, "This is what you are counting on?" The entire place was dead silent. Everyone lowered their heads in fear. Their bodies were trembling, and they did not dare to make a sound. Li Longyuan, the number one person in Heavenly Star Domain. Jiang Tian looked at Li Longyuan mockingly and said disdainfully, "May I ask where your immortal techniques and mystical abilities are? Where is your vast divine senses? Where is your numinous treasure immortal artifact? Use it." Li Longyuan looked at Jiang Tian with hatred and did not say a word. "You don't agree?" Jiang Tian laughed. "You have already used your strongest move, and you still can't kill me. Do you think you are my match? Kong Teichu, I am indeed not your match." Li Longyuan laughed sinisterly. "However, do you think the foundation of Heavenly Star Small World is so simple? Do you think I am the only golden core cultivator?" He laughed wildly and roared, "You are wrong. You're wrong. You'd better let me go or you'll regret it, Jiang Taichu." As soon as he said this, the entire place was dead silent. Many people were confused and shocked. Were there other golden core cultivators in Heavenly Star Small World? However, Jiang Tian was not surprised in the slightest. He threw Li Longyuan to the side and calmly looked towards the north, saying indifferently, "Old bastard, I have killed so many of your disciples and stepped on your descendants under my feet. You still won't come out? Do you want me to destroy your Heavenly Star Palace before you come out?" In the depths of the ancestral land of the Heavenly Star Palace, 100 kilometers away, the ancient Daoist temple with green bricks and green tiles suddenly bloomed with endless bright light. Thunder rumbled and starlight filled the air. Suddenly, there were thousands of auspicious lights. At this time, the ancient Daoist temple seemed to have come alive. Every blade of grass and every tree was full of vitality. Countless runes appeared on every brick and stone like a waterfall. Many golden runes surged like tides and gathered together to form a Tai Chi yin-yang fish. It seemed to be a door of time and space. Kong Teichu, I have been sleeping for hundreds of years and didn't want to come out. I didn't expect you to force me to come out. An old voice came from the door of time. It sounded ancient and distant, as if it had traveled through thousands of years. The voice was 100 miles away, but strangely, it exceeded the speed of sound and reached Fangzhou Peak in the blink of an eye. It can't be him, right? Is he still alive? When some of the older generation figures heard this voice, their expressions changed drastically. Is the legend true? They seemed to have thought of something and there was endless fear in their eyes, as if they had seen a ghost. Who is this? Is he also a golden core overlord? How can there be a golden core cultivator in our world? However, there were even more people who asked with puzzled expressions. In the stellar sky domain, many arrays were destroyed thousands of years ago, and the spirit chi was seriously out of control. The most abundant spirit chi was concentrated in the Red Thunder Mountain, but it was mixed with the demonic miasma aura and couldn't be absorbed. In other regions, the spirit chi was thin and was only 1/10 of what it was before. Therefore, only one golden core overlord, Li Longyuan, appeared here a few hundred years ago. The second golden core cultivator was Shen Tij. However, both of them were created with the resources of the entire small world. There was no other golden core cultivator. At this time, Li Longyuan stood up shakily, with a crazy smile on his face, and shouted loudly, "Brotherly! This is the Yuan Li family's other golden core cultivator 1,000 years ago, the son of Yuan Tiangang, the sect master of our stellar sky palace, Yuan Zihua. Yuan Zihua, great demon Bai Zai's personal disciple. Didn't he already die? He's still alive." Lady Annihilation Desire suddenly realized who this person was, but her face was full of confusion and shock. Condensing blood and stopping lifespan. Li Longyuan said proudly and coldly, "He has always been alive. He just condensed his blood and stopped his lifespan. Don't you understand why? Li Longyuan looked around and smiled. Because we need more than 10 golden core cultivators to coexist in the world if we want to break through to the level 3 hidden cultivation sects. However, golden core cultivators can live up to 500 years old at most. They can't live for 1,000 years. Therefore, under the scheme of Great Demon by Zhe, 3 golden core cultivators chose to condense their blood and go into hibernation hundreds of years ago. Our plan is to push out another 10 golden cores before this world collapses. At that time, there will be more than 10 golden cores coexisting, creating a glorious era and advancing to a level 3-dimensional small world. At that time, we can occupy other dimensional worlds and obtain a new place to live. 3 golden core cultivators are in hibernation. Who else is there? Lady Annihilation Desire and the others exclaimed together. Li Longyuan didn't answer. Greetings, fellow Daoist. At this moment, from the direction of the demon-suppressing temple, another resounding voice rang out. Kong Teichu, you're talented and have a profound heritage. You might be able to reach the soul formation level in the future. Why do you want to be enemies with the heavenly star small world? That area was filled with Buddhist light and golden light. It was 10,000 meters tall. The sound of Buddhist chanting filled the air, and countless auspicious clouds with golden edges gathered from all directions. Disciples of the demon-suppressing temple welcome Master Kuhai out of seclusion. Led by Master Annihilation Desire, many eminent monks of the demon-suppressing temple knelt down and prostrated themselves on the ground. Master Kuhai, another disciple of Great Demon by Zhe, the ancestral patriarch of the demon-suppressing temple. Lady Annihilation Desire was shocked again. 500 years ago, Great Demon by Zhe turned into a young Daoist and fought with the demon-suppressing temple. Great Demon by Zhe killed 3 abbots of Devil Suppression Monastery and hundreds of monks. Heads rolled and blood flowed like a river, almost annihilating Devil Suppression Monastery. But when he saw Master Kuhai's talent and power, he took him in as his disciple and taught him many cultivation arts of the Heavenly God sect. Master Kuhai came so quickly. A beam of golden light shot out from the demon-suppressing temple and flashed across the sky like a comet. In just a few seconds, it had traveled a few hundred kilometers and landed on the square. Master Kuhai was chubby and his ears drooped down to his shoulders. His body was huge, and there were circles of Buddha light shining behind his head. He gave off a feeling of being upright and upright. Why do you have to start a conflict between the two worlds? Master Kuhai put his hands together and smiled. Why don't we shake hands and make peace? Why don't you submit to the Heavenly Star Palace and control Earth on behalf of us? Submit to you? Jiang Tian flicked his sleeves and snickered. Who do you think you are? You want me, Kong Teichu, to submit to you? The Heavenly Star Small World will either submit to me or I'll destroy the entire Heavenly Star Small World. You don't have a third choice. After hearing that, the entire audience was shocked to the extreme. Everyone was flabbergasted and couldn't believe what they were seeing. Chapter 958. No one dared to believe it. Kong Teichu was too arrogant. They were veteran golden core cultivators who had been famous for hundreds of years. They were much older than Li Longyuan, Mieyu, and the rest. Their strength and divine powers were unimaginably strong. But when facing them, Jiang Tian was still not the slightest bit weaker. Isn't it good to turn weapons of war into gifts of jade and silk for the people of the world? Besides, you are no match for us. He was already a mid-stage golden core cultivator. He was much stronger than Master Pudu, Master Shixiang, and even Li Longyuan. I am no match for you? You are too confident. Jiang Tianyi said calmly with a mocking smile. Isn't there another veteran golden core cultivator? Why doesn't he come out? This kid is so arrogant. Does he want to fight against 3 veteran golden core cultivators? They are very likely to be mid-stage golden core cultivators. Everyone was completely stunned by Jiang Tian. They looked at Jiang Tian as if he was crazy. The other golden core cultivator was once a disciple of Great Demon by Zhe. Could it be our ancestor, Daoist Master Wang Lin? A few giant sword sect elders suddenly thought of something. Their faces were filled with surprise and disbelief. Back then, Great Demon Bai Zhe had fought against the human sects and defeated thousands of sections. In the end, the demon race and the human race stood side by side. Moreover, Great Demon Bai Zhe had taken in many human disciples and established the Heavenly Star Palace, Giant Sword Sect, and Demon Subduing Temple. In other words, the inheritance of these three sects actually came from Bai Zhe and the Heavenly God sect. In the past thousands of years, most of these disciples had died in battle or died. But it was rumored that there were still 3 disciples who had survived and were hiding in this world: Yuan Zihua, Master Ku Hai, and Daoist Master Wang Lin. Fellow Daoist Ku Hai, I have already said that this kid is very murderous and full of demonic aura. We cannot persuade him. Indeed, a third old voice sounded from the direction of Giant Sword Sect. Another golden core cultivator had come out of seclusion. Daoist Master Wang Lin laughed in anger. His voice became colder and colder. For the past 1,000 years, no one has dared to challenge me, Wang Lin, even if it was a level 3 hidden sect or the ruins of immortality. We didn't want to bicker with you because you've had a hard time cultivating. But since you've killed so many people, we old bones who are about to enter the coffin should come out and do some exercise. At this time, Li Longyuan looked coldly at Jiang Tian and said proudly, "These ancestral patriarchs and experienced gold cores have all reached the middle stage of the gold core realm. They were prepared for the level 3 worldlet or to resist the challenges of other worldlets. I didn't expect that they would be used on an ant from Earth in advance." As soon as he finished speaking, Priest Wang Lin had already crossed a distance of 100 kilometers and arrived at the Life and Death Square. He was about 40 years old and wore a coarse green robe. On his back was a huge broadsword that was almost touching the ground like a small sampan. His figure was tall like a mountain, the lines of his face were strong and rough, and his beard was like a sword or halberd. His copper bell-sized eyes emitted a ferocious light, and his appearance was ferocious. "Fellow Daoist Grand Primordium, your killing intent is too strong. It's a pity that such a grand event has turned into a slaughterhouse." Then, Yuan Zihua also arrived. He was a few hundred years old, but he looked like he was only 30 years old. He was wearing a white robe and carrying a wind frost sword on his back. He looked like a deity lord. His long hair was like a waterfall and his eyes were like stars. His indifferent and cold eyes flowed like water and moonlight. His aura was extraordinary and aloof, cold and indifferent. "Oh God, Ancestral Master Zihua is so handsome. He's so handsome. Kong Teichu is so ordinary and ugly." The moment he appeared, countless female cultivators felt as if they had lost their souls. Their hearts pounded violently and their faces turned red. Even Mieyu was mesmerized for a moment, but he immediately chanted a mind-cleansing spell to calm himself down. The ancestral master of the Heartless sect was also a talented woman who had fallen in love with Yuan Zihua. In the end, she was so angry that she broke off her relationship with Yuan Zihua and created the Heartless sect. Compared to Yuan Zihua, Jiang Tian was at a disadvantage in terms of looks. He looked so ferocious and ugly. In fact, Jiang Tian didn't change the appearance of his divine body after coming to this world. He only had an ordinary appearance, otherwise, he wouldn't be inferior to Yuan Zihua. Besides, Jiang Tian didn't think that this kind of otherworldly beauty could be considered beautiful. When the 3 ancestral masters appeared in the square, everyone's expression changed. They were extremely excited. Disciple greets the ancestral masters. Disciple welcomes the ancestral masters out of seclusion. Kill the evil spirits. Mieyu, Shintij, Tsinghongyuan, and Master Ashen Pine all kowtowed with reverence. They were so excited that they shed tears and trembled. Even Ding Lai's body was trembling. He couldn't bear the pressure and knelt before the 3 ancestral masters. He couldn't be blamed. These ancestral masters were people who had been around for thousands of years. They were middle-stage golden core and had intimidated an era. They were highly respected and respected. Ding Lai didn't dare to provoke them in terms of strength, seniority, or influence. Even the cultivators of Li River Sword Sect, Snake Sect, and Wisdom Temple who were watching from afar knelt down. In an instant, tens of thousands of cultivators on Green Hill knelt down. Only Jiang Tian was left in the crowd. He was as still as a mountain, like a crane in a flock of chickens. "You are Kong Teichu?" Yuan Zihua looked at Jiang Tian coldly. His handsome face darkened slightly. He said coldly, "That's right. You have half of my elegance back then." His voice was slightly angry, and a terrifying aura swept over. "Stay in your Earth world and be the #1 person. Isn't it good for our worlds to live in peace? Why did you come here to stir up a storm of blood?" Ding Lai was sweating profusely, and his body was trembling. These three ancestral masters were too terrifying. Back then, Monster King Bai Zai's disciples all came from the heavenly god Sex Master. They were the most profound and terrifying of all. "I stirred up a storm of blood?" Jiang Tian smiled faintly. He drew talismans in the air and cast a spell. Immediately, many phantoms appeared in front of everyone like holographic projections. It was the scene of the Qin Xian sect's Daoist and Qin Zhong's plot. Jiang Tian had extracted it from Yendi's mind and manifested it. Back then, they plotted to invade Earth and even wanted to take over the Tianqing school's dojo, killing Jiang Tian, Yi Tianren, and other overlords on Earth. At this moment, many people had awkward expressions on their faces. Qin Xian wanted to take over their dojo and even control the entire Earth world. What could they say when they came to kill them? Jiang Tian smiled and said, "What do you think of this small divine power of attentiveness manifestation? Please give it a try, Daoist Zihua." When he killed Qin Xian back then, he had already expected this scene. That was why he extracted the memories of a few people to be used as evidence during the argument. Yuan Zihua's face was cold and emotionless. At this time, Ding Lai mustered up his courage and said, "Old Immortal Yuan, can I say something fair?" "Go ahead." Yuan Zihua raised his eyebrows and looked at Ding Lai. Who knew how many girls and fairies had fallen for him? Brother Jiang was indeed a bit reckless. He killed the Qin Xian sect's Daoist, but there was a reason for it. Ding Lai bowed and said, "Especially after Jiang Taichu came to this world, Li Longyuan used his power to bully others. He took advantage of the fact that Jiang Taichu had lost his cultivation and the devil qi had invaded his body. Isn't this too despicable? Besides, Li Longyuan has been going against the law all these years. He has plundered the world and made the people of this world miserable. The reason why Kong Teichu repeatedly attacked was because he was forced by Li Longyuan. Senior, you are a mid-stage golden core cultivator with 1,000 years of life. You are knowledgeable and respected. I believe you will deal with this fairly." Ding Lai actually still had a glimmer of hope for Yuan Zihua and the other two patriarchs. With their seniority, status, and cultivation, they would not be as despicable and unreasonable as Li Longyuan and the others. He hoped that the three patriarchs could uphold justice. Of course. Yuan Zihua smiled warmly. As an patriarch, I naturally have to convince people with my words and actions. Since there is a secret behind this matter, I will naturally deal with it impartially and convince Kong Teichu. "Thank you, Senior." Ding Lai was overjoyed and kowtowed. "Li Longyuan, your performance has disappointed me. The Earth domain is a barren wasteland with exhausted spirit qi. You actually want to seize it?" Yuan Zihua glared at Li Longyuan and reprimanded him righteously. "Brother Li, don't blame me. You actually want to take advantage of Kong Teichu's cultivation to lead thousands of sects to besiege him. Despicable. You are a disgrace to the stellar sky domain." Li Longyuan was so frightened that he knelt on the ground. The Yuan clan was the Li family's dragon protector lineage, but that was only on Earth. In this world, the Yuan clan was much stronger than the Li family. Yuan Zihua looked at Jiang Tian again and revealed a kind expression. He said lightly, "Kong Teichu, since the Stellar Sky Palace attacked you first, it is indeed our fault. How about this? Today I will not kill you. Kneel down and kowtow to them, and this matter will be over. In the future, I will teach you supreme cultivation techniques, and you will be my servant. When you return to the Earth domain, you will control the Earth domain on our behalf. How about that? As soon as he said that, everyone laughed. Ding Lai was stunned as if he had been slapped a few times. It was the Stellar Sky Palace that attacked Earth first and snatched Jiang Tian's dojo. It was the Stellar Sky Palace's fault, and Jiang Tian still had to kowtow to Li Longyuan and the others. And he still wanted him to control the Earth domain on behalf of the Stellar Sky Palace? Wasn't this defeating Jiang Tian without using a single soldier and realizing Li Longyuan's insidious plan? Ancestor, you, Ding Lai shouted in disbelief. What? Do you think I'm being unfair? Yuan Zihua glanced at Ding Lai coldly. Does everyone think I am fair? Yuan Zihua asked as he glanced at the crowd leisurely. Fair. Too fair. Voices rang out in unison as everyone looked at Jiang Tian with a mocking expression. The Earth domain is just a group of ants. Yuan Zihua laughed mockingly, and his voice suddenly became cold. He flicked his sleeves and looked down at Jiang Tian disdainfully. We just want to kill a few ants, and we haven't killed them yet. Do you want us to pay with our lives? Kong Teichu, remember, this is the truth of the cultivation world. The weak only have the fate of being bullied and enslaved. As the weak, accept your fate. Chapter 959. I finally understand. Ding Lai couldn't take it anymore. He jumped up, smiled bitterly and roared, Why is Li Longyuan so despicable and shameless? It turns out that a crooked stick will have a crooked shadow. You people are really despicable, shameless, inhumane, and worse than beasts. Bullying the weak, flattering the strong and bullying the weak, flattering the strong and stepping on the weak. What kind of ability is this? What kind of hero is this? What kind of immortal is this? If you have the guts, go and destroy the immortal ruins. You don't dare, you only dare to bully the Earth domain, you are cowards. As a person of the Stellar Sky domain, I feel ashamed for you. What kind of bullshit immortal cultivators are you? You are worse than dogs. Ding Lai, how dare you be so disrespectful to the patriarch? Li Longyuan shouted angrily. Yuan Zihua. Suddenly, Jiang Tian said coldly, Ant? You are not qualified to call me an ant. Jiang Tian said mockingly. You are too ignorant, you don't know my ability at all, really a summer insect can't talk about ice. A frog at the bottom of a well can't talk about the sea. Kong Teichu, you are too presumptuous. At this time, Sanskrit Temple's master Yuan Jing flew over. After paying his respects to the three patriarchs, he straightened his body and coldly looked down at Jiang Tian, mocking him, This is the patriarch of the heavens. Kong Teichu, 3 middle-stage gold core realm patriarchs are here. Are you still not going to admit defeat? Are you still going to resist? You still want to talk nonsense? I advise you to kneel down, surrender, kowtow, and admit your mistake. Otherwise, this old monk will settle the score with you for killing my disciple back then. Everyone despised him in their hearts. This old bald thief's reaction was so fast. When Jiang Tian had the upper hand just now, he was the first to run away from Fang Zhufeng. Now that the three patriarchs came out to crush him, he immediately came out to express his loyalty. Moreover, Kong Teichu killed your disciple during the invasion of the border city. I didn't see you jump out in such a long time. Master Xixiang also changed his previous fear and dejection, becoming extremely arrogant and despotic. He shouted loudly, Master Xixiang. Kong Teichu, how would you know the background of the Stellar Sky domain? The three patriarchs are all at the middle stage of the Gold Core realm. Do you think you can still make a comeback? Shen Tej wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and stepped forward. Kong Teichu, I've already warned you that there are many hidden dragons and crouching tigers in this event. Dealing with you, Kong Teichu, will be a piece of cake. Back then, you repeatedly humiliated me and insisted on fighting me to the end. How about now? His expression was full of mockery as he said coldly, A mere abandoned person like you dares to challenge my Stellar Sky domain. Kong Teichu, weren't you very arrogant just now? Were they going to slaughter all the heroes of the stellar sky domain? Do it. Zheng Hongyuan also came back to life and shouted arrogantly. Kong Teichu, Senior Yuan Zihua has the intention to guide you. You better accept it. Otherwise, I'm afraid my serpent sect will also become your enemy. The serpent sect's sect master, Madame Shi, also flew over and tried to persuade Jiang. Jiang Tian's gaze swept across the mountains without any emotion. He said loudly, "It seems like you guys were not satisfied when you left Fangzhou Peak and the Life and Death Square. Your submission isn't sincere. Now, I'll give you a chance to choose again. Whoever wants to become my enemy, Kong Teichu, step forward." Kong Teichu, you still dare to boast so shamelessly when 3 Gold Core Realm Patriarchs are suppressing you. So what if we become your enemy? The Quaking Dawn Sect's sect master jumped out. Yes, as you wish. Many experts of the Li Riversword sect also flew to Fangzhou Peak. Then, they flew back to Fangzhou Peak one by one. Even those who were not qualified to climb Fangzhou Peak came up to show their loyalty. A total of 5,000 to 6,000 people surrounded Jiang Tian. These people were at least Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators. There was no lack of Foundation Establishment Realm or Fake Core Realm cultivators. In addition, there were 3 veteran Gold Core Realm cultivators. Their aura was so strong that it could crush a world. They actually used 3 veteran Gold Core Realm cultivators to deal with him, too ruthless. In the distance, Fairy Miao Yi saw this scene and tears flowed down her cheeks. She was in so much pain that she wanted to die. Big Brother Jiang. Xiao Yingluo and Ding Lingdong's faces turned pale. They were sobbing in despair. Sigh, if we wait another 100 years or even 20 years, what a pity. Jiang Haishan and his son were also pale. They shook their heads and sighed. They were in complete despair. 3 Gold Core Realm Patriarchs. They were the disciples of the great demon Bai Zhe and the inheritance of the heavenly god sect's sect master. Who could resist them? Jiang Tian was indeed amazing, but the disparity in strength was too great. They had suffered a great loss this time. In the square, Li Longyuan was triumphant. He roared loudly, "Kong Teichu, did you see that? This is the foundation of the heavenly star small world. How strong can you be, Kong Teichu? Golden Core Realm Level 1? Level 2. At most, you'll be at Level 3. So what if you're a mid-stage Gold Core Realm cultivator? A single tree can't make a forest, and a single thread can't make a thread. You're still just one person. And we have an army of tens of thousands of cultivators, thousands of sects, and thousands of people. We have 3 Gold Core Realm Patriarchs. We'll kill you like killing a chicken." At this moment he was very proud. Because he had designed Jiang Tian to be Master Pudu in order to win the support of the people. Now, it was obvious that he had achieved his goal. Everyone showed determined and confident smiles, as if Jiang Tian was already a dead man. In the crowd, only Chu Yunxiu tugged at Seng Renwang's sleeve and asked softly, "I just heard that the 3 patriarchs are all Demon King Bai Zhe's disciples. Is that so?" "Yeah. What's wrong?" Seng Renwang glanced at Chu Yunxiu with a smile and asked casually. He was still quite happy. That Zhou Kaiyun was too showy. He became cannon fodder. In the future, this Chu Yunxiu would probably still become his concubine. "No, nothing." Chu Yunxiu's face turned bitter as she lowered her head. She couldn't say that she had once sided with Demon King Bai Zhe and saw Bai Zhe being subdued by Jiang Tian. This was because the Demon King Bai Zhe had been plotted against and destroyed by these disciples. Siding with Bai Zhe was a taboo. Although Bai Zhe might break free from Kong Teichu's control, what if he doesn't succeed? Then wouldn't Bai Zhe become Kong Teichu's hired thug? "No, I have to leave this troublesome place as soon as possible." Her face was filled with fear and she was about to take the opportunity to escape. But suddenly, a thunderous sound was heard, like a giant cannon that could explode the sky, violently pushing forward. "Who said that my true immortal Jiang is alone? You want to compete in numbers? Fuck, do you think you can beat Demon King Bai Zhe?" That voice was like the Milky Way pouring down with thousands of waves. It was also like rolling thunder crashing down, as if the world was falling apart. The entire space above Fangzhou Peak within a 5-kilometer radius was annihilated. The sun and moon lost their light, and the world changed color. Bang bang bang. The sound wave materialized and crashed down like a wild dragon. Instantly, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. Trees were reduced to dust and rocks flew everywhere. Huge craters hundreds of meters wide appeared all over Qingqiu Mountain. Before Li Longyuan's expression could change, he spat out a mouthful of blood from the sound wave. His cultivation was not bad. The other cultivators who were hit by the sound wave turned into a rain of sparkling flesh. They died without even a cry. Who's there? He's so powerful. Everyone raised their heads in shock. Dark clouds covered the skies. Demonic aura surged and lightning flashed. Cold sword lights were like a Milky Way waterfall and sharp blade lights spanned 10 kilometers. They were all great demons who were flying in the air or riding on flying swords, warships, and treasure carriages. Countless Dharma treasures filled the skies and covered the sun. Ghosts and gods were moved and the world lost its color. The one in the lead was Demon King Baizhe. He rode over on a dragon qilin. He wore a feathered robe and a star crown. His brows were sharp and his eyes were bright. He was handsome and had the appearance of a young man. However, his eyes were deep and cold. Behind him were the 8 great leaders of the demon race, the 13 protectors, and the 360 halls. Some of them were half human and half beast while others were half beast and half human. They were of all shapes and sizes and looked ferocious. However, every one of them had demonic aura and a mountainous aura. They were all at false core and even golden core. Further back, the dense army of demonic beasts was like a tidal wave that stretched for dozens of miles. They were innumerable and covered the entire Qingqiu Mountain like an endless swarm of locusts. 10,000, 30,000, 50,000, 100,000? Clang! Demon King Baizhe descended from the skies like a demon star crashing into the continent, creating a gigantic crater dozens of meters wide in the life and death square. Boom! Rumbling air billows spread out in all directions like rings of clouds, causing everyone to spit out blood and fall off their horses. Baizhe knelt down on one knee towards Jiang Tian and cupped his fists, saying coldly, "I, Baizhe, am here to protect true immortal Jiang." Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Like meteorites breaking through the atmosphere, the great demons pulled out white air turbulence and smashed into the ground heavily, creating soaring flames from the friction. Clang, 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 rumble, boom, 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 boom. The ground trembled and dust flew everywhere in the massive life and death square, riddled with holes. Almost 300 top demon cultivators at false core and golden core crashed to the ground like meteorites. The 8 great leaders of the demon race, the 13 protectors, and the 360 hall masters are here to protect true immortal Jiang under the orders of Demon King Baizhe. They formed a semicircle and knelt down on one knee towards Jiang Tian with solemn expressions. They kowtowed respectfully and their roars surged into the skies like torrential waves, shocking everyone's hearts. The other demonic cultivators did not descend. Each of them displayed their own abilities as they hovered in every direction, encircling Fangzhou and Green Hill like an iron bastion. They also kowtowed together and their voices surged like a torrent. The 100,000 demon soldiers and generals of Red Thunder Mountain are here to protect true immortal Jiang. Heaven and earth were silent. A gentle breeze blew past, gently sweeping up the fallen leaves and dust on the square. It didn't matter if it was legendary sect masters like Li Longyuan and Mieyu, or the other city lords and sect masters. Even Master Kehai, Yuan Zihua, and Dao Master Kuanling, the 3 veteran Golden Core overlords and ancestral patriarchs, didn't dare to move at all. They were as silent as cicadas in winter and did not even dare to breathe loudly. The tens of thousands of human cultivators were scared out of their wits at that moment. Their faces were pale and they trembled. Their legs went weak and cold sweat poured out of them. In reality, there were people who tried to escape as well. However, they could not release their dermic powers and divine powers at all. At that moment, Bai Zhe was merely kneeling before Jiang Tian. However, a demonic wind howled and demonic qi filled the skies. The might of a nascent soul expert surged over and formed an unparalleled seal. Everyone's dermic powers were locked tightly. They could not even make the slightest movements, let alone fight or escape. Chapter 960. So, he is the monster king Bai Zhe, Ding Lai, the monks of the demon-subduing temple, and Jiang Haishan in the distance were all dumbfounded. They had seen this young man in the Red Thunder Mountain. They thought he was an inconspicuous little monster, but they didn't expect him to be so powerful. It was said that he was either a nascent soul cultivator or a nascent soul cultivator. How could Brother Jiang subdue him? Ding Lai and Jiang Haishan were stunned. Brother Jiang hadn't even gone through his last seclusion at that time. How could he subdue Bai Zhe if he couldn't even defeat Desireless? Ding Lai and the others couldn't figure it out. At this time, not only them, but everyone present was stunned and confused. All of them were shocked to the point of being dumbstruck, and they didn't dare believe their eyes as they looked at this ferocious and murderous person kneeling obediently before Jiang Tian, as if he was the most loyal servant that had met his master. This was the famous demon king Bai Zhe who had intimidated an entire era. How could he kneel in front of Kong Teichu, a human from Earth? Could it be that he had subdued Bai Zhe? That was impossible. If Jiang Tian was a golden core cultivator, he couldn't defeat Bai Zhe at all. The difference was too big. Even if he was a nascent soul cultivator, it would be earth-shattering if he fought with Bai Zhe. But there was no movement at all in the Demon Cave Mountain. Fuck. Master Yuan Jing wanted to cry but had no tears. He was so regretful that he wanted to slap himself a few times. He only needed to hold on for a while, and he wouldn't have to stand opposite Kong Teichu. Was it too late to go back now? The point was, how did Kong Teichu know Bai Zhe? In this world, as long as it was a figure from a certain plane, who wouldn't know of the reputation of the greater demon, Bai Zhe? He was the pet of the Holy Heavens sect master. Several major sects were founded by him. Li Longyuan could only be counted as his disciple and disciple's disciple. He couldn't be ranked at all. The Monster King's arrival is the final word. This time, Li Longyuan will definitely lose. Kong Teichu's trump card can't be too violent. All the cultivators who knew Bai Zhe's strength had the same thought in their minds. Everyone knew of Great Demon Bai Zhe's strength. Moreover, the 8 great demon leaders and the 13 guardians were all powerful existences. They were existences that were on par with Li Longyuan, Miayu, and the others. Both sides had fought before, so Li Longyuan and the others were no match for him. Otherwise, with his ruthless personality, Demon Cave Mountain would have been razed to the ground long ago. In fact, only a few seconds had passed, but everyone felt like tens of thousands of years had passed. Get up. As Jiang Tian nodded casually and raised his hand slightly, Demon King Bai Zhe and the other demon generals stood up. Demon King Bai Zhe's sinister and cold gaze swept across Yuan Zihua, Ku Hai, Daoist Kunling and the others. Feeling the terrifying killing intent, everyone felt as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. They only felt that the temperature had plummeted by dozens of degrees, causing them to shiver uncontrollably. Why aren't you talking? Didn't my 3 good disciples want to kill my master just now? Bai Zhe laughed maniacally, and a cold, killing intent seeped out from his body like steel needles. It was extremely frightening. All the useless people present, now, you can make your move. Bai Zhe's gaze was cold, and his face was filled with anger. Come, stand out, don't waste the good time. I want to see who is going to make a move. The entire place was dead silent. No one dared to say a word. Ku Hai, are you going to make a move? Bai Zhe's gaze was cold as he walked in front of Master Ku Hai. He raised his hand and slapped Master Ku Hai's face. A crisp sound rang out, shocking everyone present, causing them to quiver in fright. Blood splattered everywhere, and half of Master Ku Hai's fat face was smashed. I don't dare. Ku Hai only lowered his head in shame, clasped his hands together and chanted Buddha's name. Fight back? He would not dare to even if he was given 100 guts. Not only because he was Bai Zai's disciple, but also because Bai Zai had already reached his peak state, nascent soul, and he was only in the middle stage of the Golden Core realm and was not a match for him at all. Even if the 3 veteran Golden Core cultivators worked together, they would not be a match for Bai Zai. And you, Yuan Zihua, how dare you? Do you dare to challenge my master? Bai Zai slapped Yuan Zihua's face again. Slap. Yuan Zihua was sent flying and sprawled on the ground like a dead dog. His face was swollen, and blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. He sprawled on the ground, looking humiliated and fearful. He did not dare to refute, not to mention resist. Finally, he got up slowly and bowed. I don't dare. What ancestor of the Sky Star Palace? What old monster who had been hiding for hundreds of years? What son of Yuan Tiangang? In front of him, the demon king Bai Zai, he was nothing. Because more than 1,000 years ago, after the heavenly god Sek's master fell, Bai Zai had already formed his nascent soul. He conquered the world and was invincible. He was the master of this world. The Sky Star Palace, the giant sword sect, the demon subduing temple, and other forces were all established by him with the help of the human cultivators. Their inheritance came from the heavenly god sect. Yuan Tiangang could only be considered as his disciple and grand disciple. Yuan Zihua's status was even lower. Fu, I don't dare to be your master. Bai Zai grabbed Yuan Zihua's hair and slapped him repeatedly. Back then, you guys betrayed me and schemed to kill me, causing my body to shatter. I'm very afraid of you guys. Bai Zai slapped him until his nose bled and his face was covered in dirt. He could only cough blood continuously in a wretched manner. Finally, Bai Zai sneered and smashed Yuan Zihua to the ground. Bang! A deep pit appeared on the ground and Yuan Zihua laid inside. His body was shattered and blood flowed. He could not resist at all. However, you guys definitely didn't expect that I would recover my cultivation and make a comeback, right? Thereafter, Bai Zai looked at Dao Master Kunling coldly and sneered. Kunling, you were the most vicious when you attacked me back then, right? Dao Master Kunling was so scared that his face turned pale. He shuddered and his legs trembled violently. Without another word, Dao Master Kunling knelt on the ground and slapped himself wildly while begging, I know my mistake. Please spare my life, Master. Bai Zai was filled with killing intent and did not care if he was begging for mercy. He slapped Dao Master Kunling again without mercy and sent him flying dozens of meters away. Didn't you guys say that you wanted to kill my master, perfected Immortal Jiang? Step forward if you have the guts. Bai Zai stood with his hands akimbo and swept his cold gaze across the crowd, hollering, Come on, don't you have the advantage in numbers? Aren't you an immortal cultivation sect? Aren't you impressive? Come on out. Weren't you guys clamoring fiercely earlier on? Why aren't you shouting anymore? Are you guys mute? No one dared to say a word. Everyone looked at Bai Zai and Jiang Tian in horror and a chill ran down their spines. Demon King, stop fooling around. Please stop fooling around, all right? How can we be a match for you when the 3 veteran golden cores are already crushed to this extent by you? Perfected Immortal Jiang, the 100,000 demon soldiers and generals will form an encirclement. Nobody will be able to escape. At this time, Bai Zai walked to Jiang Tian and bowed deeply, saying respectfully, As long as you say the word, whoever you want to die will die. He turned around and swept his cold gaze over the crowd. His murderous aura soared to the heavens as he said, Or, all of you will die. Bai Zai looked like he was in his teens. He was handsome and otherworldly, like a cold and arrogant teenager next door. He didn't have any powerful cultivation. But once he had the intention to kill, he was like a different person, like an ancient demon beast overlooking this continent. Immediately, a fierce and murderous aura shot to the sky like a giant pillar a few thousand meters tall, splitting the clouds. Surging true essence surged, blotting out the sky and blotting out the sun like raging waves, sweeping out in all directions. You're just a bunch of despicable people who only know how to play tricks. You don't deserve to die. His cruel, explosive, and cold-killing intent burst out of his body. Instantly, bolts of lightning as thick as buckets danced in the air around him like pythons and dragons. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws, as if they were going to swallow someone at any moment. Kill them all. Kill them all. Annihilate the Heavenly Star Palace, the giant sword sect, and the demons subduing temple. Wipe out thousands of sects and worship Kong Teichu. Li Longyuan is a pervert. It's time for this place to change owners. No, that's too rough. We have to roast them, medium rare. They're very fresh and tender. On the square, the leaders of the 8 demon clans, the 13 guardians, and the 360 hall masters were filled with righteous indignation and killing intent as they roared. Tear these despicable people into pieces and eat them. Leave none alive. Eliminate them all. In the sky, the 100,000 demon soldiers and generals were all excited. Their killing intent surged like a tide as they roared together. Their voices were like rolling thunder, echoing 100 kilometers away. Immediately, the earth trembled and the mountains shook. The towering trees were crushed into powder under the overwhelming pressure. Fang Zhufeng and even the entire mountain range of Qingqiu Mountain were trembling under the pressure as if they were about to collapse. Even the distant star capital could not withstand it and seemed to be collapsing. After Baizhe was plotted against, these demons were also banished by the Heavenly Star Palace. Back then, they had a centuries-long war with the Heavenly Star Palace and other sections. They had a blood feud with Li Longyuan and the others. Now, their repressed emotions were completely unleashed. All of them were filled with fighting spirit, their minds were agitated, and their anger burned the heavens. At this moment, everyone in the life and death square could not withstand the pressure. The demonic beast army's overwhelming killing intent and aura scared the souls of the tens of thousands of people present. Baizhe's ferocious attitude made everyone feel as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. Their hair stood on end. His words were definitely not an exaggeration. Nor was he trying to scare them. After the fall of the Heavenly Saint Sect's master, Demon King Baizhe had once fought with thousands of sects for decades. He had once massacred the entire stellar sky domain until heads rolled and corpses lay on the ground. Thousands of sects wailed like ghosts and howled like wolves as blood flowed like rivers. He had once killed hundreds of mid-stage golden core cultivators with a single sword and swallowed 30,000 human cultivators in one go. It could be said that the Heavenly Star small world had been reduced to a 4th-grade cultivation dimension. The demonic race's invasion was broken. The Heavenly Saint Sect's master destroyed the array, causing the spirit energy to be imbalanced. The outbreak of the miasma was only part of the reason. More importantly, the war between humans and demons had been caused by Baizhe's massacre. Too many golden core cultivators had fallen in the battle between humans and demonic beasts. How could this be? At this moment, Li Longyuan's entire body was trembling, and his lips were trembling crazily. His face was filled with dejection, indignation, and despair. He could no longer be arrogant and mighty. Chapter 961. Under extreme anxiety and fear, Li Longyuan, who was already weakened and had little cultivation left, actually had strands of white hair on his temples in a short time. Coupled with his slightly hunched waist, Li Longyuan seemed to have aged 10 years in an instant. Before this, he was full of confidence and arrogance. In his eyes, Jiang Tian was just an ant from the Earth domain after all. He was only at the 2nd stage of the Foundation establishment realm, and his dantian was injured. Demonic aura had entered his body, and he could not withstand a single blow. On his side, it could be said that he used all his strength even when hunting a rabbit. First, he used salvation to plot against Jiang Tian. Although he did not succeed, he completely isolated Jiang Tian and made him the mortal enemy of the entire stellar sky domain. When his first plan failed, he came up with another one. At the Green Hill Grand Meet, all the leaders of the world's top sects were gathered, and there were tens of thousands of cultivators and thousands of exalted immortals. Logically speaking, This was already a foolproof plan in the eyes of ordinary people. However, Li Longyuan actually had a backup plan. He even awakened 3 veteran Golden Core and Ancestor-level figures in case of any accidents. Only then did he feel assured. It could be said that Li Longyuan's plan was flawless and meticulous. It was like using a crane to smash a bug to death. In anyone's eyes, there was no possibility of failure at all. However, they did not expect it at all. The great demon Bai Zhe actually appeared and became Jiang Tian's henchman. After all, the great demon Bai Zhe's appearance was only a legend. One had to know that the great demon Bai Zhe's physical body was destroyed by Li Longyuan and the veteran Golden Core, and only a damaged essence spirit was left. Many people had always thought that Bai Zhe could not condense a physical body at all. The rumors of many demon kings appearing were just a bluff to increase the unity of the demon race and to fight against the thousands of sects. However, the great demon Bai Zhe really appeared and condensed a powerful physical body and recovered his cultivation. Moreover, he brought 100,000 demon soldiers and demon generals with him. This was not something he could resist. The key was that Bai Zhe was also together with Kong Teichu. The old and new grudges were all life and death grudges. How could Bai Zhe let him off? How could Jiang Tian let him off? It was a calamity. It could be said that this time, the Starry Sky Palace was absolutely no match for Jiang Tian's group. They would be trampled on and trampled on. Amazing. After a long time, Jiang Tian swept his gaze across the thousands of experts present and spoke slowly. Jiang Tian's voice was light, but to everyone's ears, it sounded like a thunderclap. At the moment, the square was dead silent, just as the entire green hill was absolutely silent. In this world, only Jiang Tian's voice could be heard. Other than that, there was only the soft sound of their teeth chattering. When they met Jiang Tian's gaze, all of them went silent like cicadas in the winter, and their gazes revealed deep fear and shock. All of them lowered their heads successively and didn't dare meet Jiang Tian's gaze. In the heavenly star small world, I, Kong Teichu, am the enemy of the entire world? You have the advantage in numbers? Now, take a look whose power is greater. Back then I, Kong Teichu, said that so what if I am the enemy of the entire world? So what if I am filled with gods and Buddhas? I am not even afraid of true gods, what more you ants? The entire stellar sky domain is nothing in the eyes of I, Kong Teichu. Jiang Tian sneered and questioned with a cold look in his eyes. Now, everyone, tell me, which one of you is worthy of being my enemy? Step forward. This time, no one dared to say a word. The entire place was dead silent. Many demon leaders and demon generals worshipped Jiang Tian as their leader, and 100,000 demon soldiers followed. Even the infamous demon king Bai Zhe, who once dominated the entire star world, knelt before Jiang Tian. That was enough to explain everything. The 3 veteran Golden Core realm experts could only be regarded as the disciples and grand-disciples of Demon King Bai Zhe. How could they challenge Jiang Tian, who was worshipped by Bai Zhe like a god? Jiang Tian had such terrifying strength, status, and power. How could these ants, who were not even worthy of carrying Bai Zhe's shoes, be qualified to be Jiang Tian's enemy? At this moment, they all understood. They had underestimated the number 1 person in the Earth domain, underestimated Jiang Tian. It could even be said that they had eyes but failed to see. Even Demon King Bai Zhe could be suppressed and intimidated. How could they be qualified to provoke him? It was like a group of ants wanting to challenge a divine dragon. It was simply a fool's dream. Li Longyuan, you are wrong again and again. You are extremely stupid. But there is one thing you said that is not without reason. At this moment, Jiang Tian spoke in a leisurely and unhurried manner as he spoke indifferently. In this world, the strong are respected. Killing a few ants is nothing. If the ants dare to challenge me, they should be trampled on. Come, you can judge me and trample on me. I'd like to see how you can judge me. Jiang Tian's voice had not yet faded. Bai Zhe's face darkened. He suddenly attacked and slapped Li Longyuan's head. Bang! Li Longyuan felt as if 10,000 mountains were pressing down on him. All the bones in his body were almost broken. His knees went soft and he knelt on the ground. Even his head and hands were touching the ground. He was prostrating himself on the ground. On the other hand, Jiang Tian raised his right foot and stepped on Li Longyuan's head. He sneered mockingly and said, "Li Longyuan, the palace master of the Stellar Sky Palace, the #1 person in the Stellar Sky domain. Come, tell me how you are going to trample on me." Li Longyuan's face was full of humiliation. However, in his heart, there was more fear than humiliation. He was so scared that he was trembling. At this moment, under Jiang Tian's foot, he felt that all his true essence and abilities were sealed. He could not even gather the astral winds to protect his body. He was like a naked baby, unable to withstand a single blow. It could be said that if Jiang Tian stomped down, his head would be smashed into pieces, and he would die. Jiang Tian looked at Master Xianxia and sneered. "If I'm not wrong, you thought that I was being treated, so you trapped me in the 1,000 Buddha pagoda and destroyed my soul. This rotten idea was from you, you old bald thief, right?" Master Xianxia was so scared that his heart skipped a beat. His whole body was trembling. He looked at Master Kuhai with a pale face and said in a trembling voice, "Old ancestor, save me. I'm doing this for the safety of this world." However, Master Kuhai acted as if he did not see him. He looked down, fiddled with his prayer beads, and chanted Buddha's name. In fact, he was so scared that he almost wet himself. He cursed in his heart. "Damn it, why are you calling me? Can't you see that Bai Zhe is here? I can't even save myself. How can I save you? Old people who don't die are thieves. You don't have much ability, but you're good at scheming." Jiang Tian flung his sleeves and snorted in disdain. As Jiang Tian finished speaking, Master Xianxia felt an irresistible suction force coming towards him. In the next moment, Master Xianxia was grabbed by Bai Zhe and was choked by his throat. Bai Zhe wanted Master Xianxia to kneel in front of Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian waved his hand and said indifferently, "He's not worthy of kneeling in front of me. Too disgusting. Go to hell." Bai Zhe grabbed Master Xianxia like an eagle grabbing a chick and smashed him onto the ground. Bang! Master Xianxia smashed a deep hole in the square. His bones were broken and his monk robe was torn. His whole body was covered in blood. Blood was coming out of his mouth. Jiang Tian said coldly, "Xianxia, I, Kong Teichu, have no enmity with your demon-suppressing temple. I even saved your Buddhist disciples. But your demon-suppressing temple is ungrateful and set me up again and again. After that, you slandered me with all your might. You misled the public with your lies and instigated the heroes of the world to be my enemy. You owe me a head. Do you want me to kill you or let these little bald donkeys of the demon-suppressing temple be buried with you? You only have a breath's time to consider." Jiang Tian's eyes were cold and emotionless. His hand rose and the knife fell. A bald head flew up. Master Xianxia chose to commit suicide. The headless corpse fell to the ground with blood spurting out. Because he knew that if he didn't commit suicide, the demon-suppressing temple's centuries of Tao teachings would be destroyed and they would be met with a calamity. At the same time, the 8 demon leaders rushed into the demon-suppressing temple camp like wolves in a flock of sheep. They attacked ruthlessly and a wave of knife light swept out. Blood gushed out and corpses were strewn everywhere. Blood stained the ground. More than 10 eminent monks and Vajras were decapitated on the spot. Although they were Foundation establishment cultivators, they had almost no strength to resist against the 8 demon leaders. They were the backbone of the demon-suppressing temple who participated in the plot against Jiang Tian. They had once traveled to various major sects and huge cities, slandering Jiang Tian and instigating various major forces to besiege Jiang Tian. They deserved their punishment for their crimes. Master Kuhai did not have the slightest bit of resentment. Instead, he chanted the name of Buddha again and said that these people deserved to be killed. He thanked Immortal Master Jiang for cleaning up the sect. Jiang Tian only killed a few culprits. It could be said that he was too kind. He was extremely benevolent. It would be too easy on you if I left your corpse intact. Bai Zai slapped down, smashing Master Xiang's head and corpse into dust. Jiang Tian looked at Shen Tij and sneered. Shen Tij, you disrespected me at Crimson Thunder Mountain. I should have killed you. I only wanted you to send a message, so I gave you a chance to live. I didn't expect you to still be so stubborn and continue to be my enemy. You want to take revenge and besiege me? Immortal Master Jiang, don't kill me. I am the Golden Core Cultivator. I am willing to submit to you and help you govern this world. When he met Jiang Tian's cold eyes, Shen Tij was so scared that he stumbled back. He was full of fear and almost peed on the spot. Cultivators were also human. They were afraid of death even more so than ordinary people. Because cultivation was to seek longevity and immortality, they viewed life as much more important than ordinary people. At this moment, facing the threat of death, Shen Tij, the Heaven Star war god who had killed tens of thousands of people, was really scared. Golden Core? What kind of trash is that? Does my master need your help? Bai Zai's eyes were arrogant. He grabbed Shen Tij and sneered. The true immortal Taichu has already given you a chance, and you dare to provoke him? You really don't know what death is. A fool like you doesn't need to kill yourself. I'll kill you. Suddenly, he transformed into a half-human, half-demon form. His head rapidly expanded to the size of a water tank, and he opened his bloody mouth. No! As Shen Tij screamed and begged for mercy, Bai Zai swallowed Shen Tij's head. Chewing like a whirlwind, Monster King Bai Zai ate Shen Tij's upper body, lower abdomen, and limbs unhurriedly. When he ate people, it was like a person eating grapes. He even spat out clothes and organs from time to time. Crunch, crunch. The sound of teeth rubbing against bones and swallowing sounded in the silence, making those who heard it almost go crazy. Chapter 962. They had long heard that Bai Zai was ferocious and that his killing methods were extremely cruel and bloody. Today, they finally saw it for themselves. Swallowing people alive. This kind of killing method simply scared everyone out of their wits. Xing Hongyuan, weren't you all scared out of your wits just now? Didn't you say that I was an ant? Didn't you want to skin me alive and chop me into pieces? However, Jiang Tian's expression did not change. He looked at Xing Hongyuan and his son with a faint smile. Although their cultivation levels were not high enough, and there was a huge gap between them and Shen Tij and Zhou Yunkai, they were arrogant and jumped the highest. Immortal Master Jiang, don't kill me. I know I was wrong. Dad, ancestors, save me. Seng Renwang was so scared that he peed his pants. He knelt on the ground and kowtowed. Who could save him? No one could save him. Immortal Master Jiang, I was blind. Don't kill me. Please be merciful. Seng Hongyuan was so scared that he knelt down and kowtowed non-stop. He just wanted to save his life. At this moment, he was filled with regret. Actually, he originally had the attitude of a bystander and was not as active as Shen Tij and Fang Jingxiang. However, he was so arrogant after hearing that Jiang Tian's cultivation level was at the second level of foundation establishment. Anyway, he was just stepping on ants. He had the moral high ground and could win Li Longyuan's favor. Why not? However, he never thought that it would end like this. Be merciful? It's too late. As soon as Jiang Tian finished speaking. Skin you alive and chop you into pieces? Sure. A demon leader who had formed a demon core had a ferocious expression. He reached out his scaly hand and grabbed Xing Hongyuan. His right hand grabbed Xing Hongyuan's ankle and used a secret technique to pull out all the tendons in his body. Spare me. True immortal Jiang, I know I was wrong. Xing Hongyuan's blood-stained body turned into noodles. He screamed and his eyes were filled with fear and pleading. The great demon's eyes were ferocious. Without saying a word, it grabbed the top of his head and a thick wave of vital qi entered his body through the wound. Immediately his skin was removed and his clothes exploded, leaving only a naked and bloody body lying on the ground. During this process, Xing Hongyuan kept cursing, and then he screamed miserably. He struggled with all his might, and his throat was broken. Finally, he fainted from the pain. The whole place was dead silent. Everyone felt their scalps go numb. Their hearts suddenly tightened and exploded. No one had expected that Xing Hongyuan, who had always been so fierce and arrogant, threatening Jiang Tian that he would pull out Jiang Tian's tendons, peel off his skin, and chop him into pieces, would have such a tragic end. True immortal Jiang, please give me a quick death. After a while, Xing Hongyuan woke up. His eyelidless eyes seemed to be protruding. He rolled his eyes and begged weakly. Good. Jiang Tian frowned. Jiang Tian had seen all kinds of cruel killing methods, but in fact, Jiang Tian had no intention of torturing him. It was just that these demon clan members were originally quite vicious, and they had the attitude that they had to correct the wrong. They wanted to use a bloody massacre to fiercely intimidate the Starry Sky Palace's henchmen. Remember to thank true immortal Jiang for his kindness. The demon clan leader shouted and attacked without hesitation. His sharp saber swept and lifted Xing Hongyuan up. Then he slashed horizontally and vertically. Blood gushed out like a fountain. Xing Hongyuan's head flew over 10 meters away and was chopped into hundreds of pieces. His body parts fell to the ground like rain. Seeing this, Seng Renwang fell to the ground in fright. He twitched violently as if he had epilepsy. His mouth was crooked, and his eyes were slanted. Green bile seeped out of the corner of his mouth. Although this grandson is just an ant, he is quite disgusting. Kill him. Jiang Tian said indifferently. Pooh. A hall master stepped forward and stabbed Seng Renwang in the heart. Seng Renwang's voice stopped abruptly. A few demon generals swarmed forward. Their sabers slashed wildly. They chopped Seng Renwang into minced meat and slaughtered more than 10 members of the Tsing family. None of them were left alive. Yonjing, sect leader Shi, everyone from the Li River Sword sect. Jiang Tian looked around and said calmly, True immortal Jiang, we know our mistakes. Please spare our lives. Yuan Jing, sect leader Shi, and the others looked as if they were struck by lightning. Their faces were as pale as paper, and cold sweat covered their faces. Their bodies trembled violently. They knelt on the ground and kowtowed crazily. Their foreheads hit the ground heavily, making muffled sounds. What did you all say in front of the Jade Well Peak? That you would work with me for the great cause and never leave me. Jiang Tian's face was emotionless. He said calmly, You all betrayed me. You've betrayed me. I've already given you a chance by ignoring you. I asked you to leave the Fangzhou Peak to give you another chance. Jiang Tian said with a mocking tone. But when Yuan Zihua and the others came, you flaunted your strength in front of me. Sometimes, I wonder if I'm too kind. I killed too few people and you think I'm easy to bully? That's why you made me your enemy time and time again. The sect leader of the Li River Sword sect and Yuan Jing did not dare to speak. They could only tremble nonstop. True immortal Jiang, I have good intentions. I don't want to see you. Cult leader Shi's charming face put on a pitiful expression. She wanted to explain a few more words. Shut up. Bai Zhe slapped her to the ground and shouted angrily, True immortal Jiang, do you need the support of Yuan Zihua and the others? Who do you think you are to be true immortal Jiang's enemy? These two-faced fence-sitters are even more disgusting than Li Longyuan. Kill them. Jiang Tian said coldly. Yes, master. The demons closed in and surrounded Wisdom Temple, Li River Sword sect, and Snake Desire sect, massacring them like tigers entering a flock of sheep. The three sects did not have the strength to resist at all. Instantly, saber lights flashed and blood gushed out as tragic cries filled the air. A few breaths later, 400 cultivators were lying in a pool of blood. Blood flowed everywhere within 100 meters of the square, creating a glaring scarlet color. The pungent smell of blood filled the air, enough to make people tumble. Master, the headquarters of Wisdom Temple, Li River Sword sect, and Snake Desire sect have been destroyed by us. All the disciples guarding the sects have been killed. Another demon general covered in blood descended from the sky and knelt in front of Jiang Tian to report. Jiang Tian only nodded slightly, and he was calm and composed. How terrifying! At that moment, everyone was scared out of their wits when they saw that. Their bodies felt as though they had fallen into an ice cellar as they shuddered. Previously, Miayu, Shintij and Fiend Suppression Temple had interacted with Jiang Tian. In fact, Miayu had even openly provoked Jiang Tian and insulted Jiang Tian for fishing for fame. However, Jiang Tian did not kill all of them. Many people felt that Jiang Tian was not ruthless enough and it was as though it was fine to provoke him. At that moment, they realized that Jiang Tian was a peerless fiend who would seek revenge for the smallest grievance and was cold to the extreme. His might was inviolable. Kill all of them. Leave no one alive. Directly annihilate these three forces, leaving not a single one of their descendants behind. In fact, even a sect master or city lord like Miayu was shivering in fear and could not contain the fear in his heart. Miayu! In the silence, Jiang Tian suddenly looked at Miayu and said coldly, "Actually, I've asked your disciple to tell you before. However, you provoked me again and even made me your enemy. Do you know your sins? Indeed, I was blind to have offended you, perfected immortal Jiang." Miayu smiled bitterly, his heart filled with mixed feelings. He sighed. "But at that time, I did want to fulfill your wish and protect you. However, you rejected me. That's why I flew into a rage." Smack. Suddenly, a slap landed on Miayu's face. Blood spurted out of her nose and her face turned pale. However, the person who hit her was not Jiang Tian, but Demon King Baizhe. "Protect my master?" Baizhe laughed. His laughter was filled with disdain. "My master can even kill the tree demons of Chaos Cloud Valley and his combat power is comparable to a golden core cultivator. Does he need your protection?" As soon as he said that, others were fine. However, Yuan Zihua, Master Kahai and Dao Master Kunling's expressions changed and they looked at Jiang Tian as if they had seen a ghost. "What? Immortal Master Jiang killed the tree demon?" They all exclaimed in disbelief. The tree demon had been suppressed more than 1,000 years ago and hadn't appeared for a long time. Many people didn't know where it came from. Even Miayu's generation didn't know much about it. However, the experienced Golden Core cultivators knew about it. That was an existence that even the Heavenly God Sect's master and great monster Baizhe had to be wary of. Many Golden Core overlords had died in order to suppress the fiend tree demon in Chaos Cloud Valley. However, Jiang Tian had actually killed him with a raise of his hand. He killed the fiend tree demon. His power is unfathomable. The key is his divine powers and combat power. He's indeed at the 3rd level of the Foundation establishment level, but he's much more powerful than a Golden Core cultivator. I'm afraid we won't be able to catch up with him even if we wait for another 10 years. At first, the 3 ancestral patriarchs thought that Jiang Tian only relied on Baizhe to bully others. They were even a little unwilling and thought that if Baizhe wasn't around, they might be able to kill Jiang Tian. But at this moment, when they heard this, their unwillingness and weak pride instantly turned into fear and cold sweat. All that was left in their hearts was their deep respect and fear for Jiang Tian. Chapter 963. Miayu, I won't kill you, but you can't escape punishment. Jiang Tian didn't care about their shock. He looked at Miayu indifferently and set the tone. Although you're not an evil person, you're too stubborn, arrogant, and cold. You lack the big picture. Jiang Tian stood with his hands behind his back and said coldly, "Slap yourself 30 times as a warning. From now on, you have to remember that there's always someone better than you." "I know I'm wrong." Miayu was convinced. He knelt on the ground, raised his hand, and slapped himself. At this time, Jiang Tian finally looked down and mocked Li Longyuan. "Li Longyuan, this battle started because of you. If it weren't for you and the Heavenly Star Palace coveting Earth, I wouldn't have come here. And so many people wouldn't have died. Today you must die. Kong Te Chu, retribution is not good. You've caused a storm of blood today, and you must suffer retribution. At this time, Li Longyuan knew that he couldn't survive today, so he threw caution to the wind. He grinned, and his blood-stained face was twisted like an evil ghost, miserable and full of resentment. Retribution? Ding Lai stepped forward and kicked his head. He said coldly, "Why didn't you say retribution when you killed people, set fires, and bullied the good?" He kicked him again and shouted angrily, "Why didn't you say retribution when you went around killing people and robbing Dharma treasures? How many people have you killed? You even killed a 3-year-old child and your Dharma companion. How many orphans and widows have you left behind? Now, your ending is retribution for your killing in the past. Are you done fighting?" Li Longyuan, on the other hand, appeared very calm. "You idiots! You don't know the danger that exists now. The heavenly star small world can't hold on any longer. It will collapse in 300 years. I'm not plundering heavenly treasures for myself, but to upgrade to a level 3 small world so that we can have a new place to live. I don't think I did anything wrong. Speaking of which, it's just a case of the winner taking all." Hearing this, Jiang Tian smiled but didn't say anything. There was no need to pay attention to such an idiot. Besides, was he really doing this for Heavenly Star Small World? He was just doing it for himself. "Kong Teichu, don't laugh, don't be so smug." Li Longyuan looked at Jiang Tian mockingly. "The Heavenly Star Small World is only a level 4 hidden sect space. There's still a level 3 hidden sect, the Dragon Gate World, many level 2 hidden sects, and the Supreme Immortal Ruins. There are countless golden core cultivators there, and there is no lack of nascent soul and nascent soul cultivators." He laughed out loud and said coldly, "There is a spatial shuttling array that leads to the stellar sky domain. They come here to patrol every once in a while. Moreover, they already knew that there was a rising powerhouse on Earth, and they had already decided to kill him. It won't be long before they come here. When that time comes, they will discover your existence and that you have occupied the Heavenly Star Small World. You will die a horrible death. They will crush you like an ant." He roared crazily. Kong Tichu, cherish this time because you don't have many days left. When the powerhouses of the Immortal Ruins come, it will be the day of your death. Ha! He glanced at the surrounding cultivators fiercely and roared, "And all of you, how dare you betray the Immortal Ruins and submit to an ant from Earth? You will be completely punished by the Immortal Ruins, noisy." Jiang Tian snorted and unleashed his soul-devouring divine sense. It surged out like a black tentacle and swallowed his divine sense. "Ow, ow, ow. I can't accept this. I'm a rare genius. I'm a wise ruler." Li Longyuan screamed miserably like a vengeful ghost. Suddenly, his eyes turned white and became dull. His divine sense had been taken away. At the same time, Jiang Tian's body flashed with green light and the swaying divine tree burst out. Green branches reached out like ghostly claws and tore open his dantian, grabbing a golden core that shone with golden light. Pava. Then he took all the storage artifacts and Dharma treasures and put them into the sky-devouring demonic gourd. Finally, the purple lightning eyes in Jiang Tian's eyes flashed. 2 electric pythons as thick as arms surged out and turned Li Longyuan into a piece of charcoal. The entire place was dead silent. Everyone was dumbfounded, and their hearts were heavy. Li Longyuan was dead. Everyone realized that Li Longyuan's era had come to an end. It was completely over. Perfected Immortal, we are willing to submit to exalted Immortal Jiang and serve him. From now on, the entire stellar sky domain will worship perfected Immortal Jiang. We will obey all your orders. You are the ruler of the stellar sky domain, the ruler of this world. Thud. Daoist Kun Ling, Yuan Zihua, and Master Kuhai all fell to their knees and kowtowed. When the 3 supergiants knelt down, the others also reacted with a shudder and kowtowed in unison. Sect leader of the Sky Wolf sect, Qin Qishuan, greets perfected Immortal Jiang. We are willing to worship perfected Immortal Jiang and become the new ruler of the stellar sky domain. One by one, the sect leaders, city lords, sect leaders, and cultivators fell to their knees. In an instant, it was like wheat being blown down by a hurricane. A moment later, the entire Qingqiu mountain, tens of thousands of cultivators, fell to their knees and bowed, afraid that they would be judged by Jiang Tian if they were too late. Now, Jiang Tian's strength was not something they could fathom. They were in awe of him. He defeated 2 golden core cultivators in a row and forced a nascent soul demon king to submit. Now, apart from the vast ruins of immortality, there were probably not many in the second or third class small worlds who could do anything to him. With such an expert as the ruler of the heavenly star small world, there was no one who would not submit to him. On the mountain peak further away, watching the veteran golden core cultivators, sect leaders, and city lords who could shake the heavenly star small world with a stomp of their feet kneel and submit to Jiang Tian, everyone felt that what they saw today was more exciting than what they had seen in their entire lives. Everyone realized that an era had ended, but a new one had begun. This battle had far-reaching effects and would completely rewrite the history of the stellar sky domain. It would definitely cause huge waves and even affect the entire hidden sex mystic realm and the structure of the multidimensional worlds. One person suppressing an entire world. I didn't think that he would really succeed. In the crowd, Chu Yunxiu's pretty face was filled with shock and disbelief. She felt that everything was so unreal. Many scenes of her first meeting with Jiang Tian flashed in front of her eyes. Every time Jiang Tian said something bold, she thought it was nonsense. Her impression of this person was getting worse and worse. Because of her preconceived impression that no one in the Earth domain could ever challenge the stellar sky domain, even if Jiang Tian exposed his strength, she firmly believed that Jiang Tian would not win. She first sought refuge with Bai Zhe and then tried to seek refuge with the Stellar Sky Palace. One wrong step led to many wrong steps. In the end, she completely fell into eternal damnation. At this moment, when she thought of her repeated offenses, she could not help but be horrified. Her face was pale, and the strong regret in her heart rose and fell. Even the 3 rivers and 5 seas could not wash it away. After all, Jiang Tian had just come to this world and was like a rootless duckweed. The first thing he needed was to find allies and supporters. Moreover, Jiang Tian's ultimate goal was the ruins of immortality. Jiang Tian did not want to stay here for long. These supporters would also become Jiang Tian's representatives in this world. The first major force that Jiang Tian went to was the Jade Well Peak. If she had been discerning, she would have a very high status now. She would be second only to one person and above all others. However, her emotions did not last long. Jiang Tian threw a look at her. Quite fresh. This girl, I have been thinking about her for a day or two. The old dragon ran forward and opened its bloody mouth. Amidst her shrill screams, it swallowed her alive. Her death did not even attract the attention of others. After all, she was just a small fry. In the sky far away, Fairy Miao Yi's pretty face was filled with complicated emotions. Her beautiful eyes were filled with indescribable emotions. Shock, joy, regret, bitterness, perhaps a little of all. His lover in the Earth domain. How lucky she is to have the chance to stand side by side with him. However, in the end, her countless emotions all turned into a sigh. This kind of Jiang Tian, who dared to fight 5 perfected immortals and 100 exalted immortals, who could suppress Jiang Tian alone, was not someone she should be delusional about. She was not worthy of him. She threw away all her fantasies and only felt envious. She envied Jiang Tian's lover whom she had never met. This was because not only was Jiang Tian powerful, but he was also not like other cultivators who cut off their emotions and desires in the name of their Dao heart. They were cold and heartless, and they went to the extreme of being excessively promiscuous. Jiang Tian's love for Zhao Xueqing was as deep as the sea. Brother Jiang won. Ding Ling Dang was grinning from ear to ear. She cheered and jumped up and down, the bells on her wrists and ankles jingling. We won. We finally won. The cute Xiaoying Luo was so happy that tears streamed down her face. Her voice was choked with sobs. As perfected immortal Zhang's little brother, I should be able to play at Spring Fragrance Brothel for free. The stinky monkey was so excited that he somersaulted a few times and almost fell off the cliff. Cough cough. Monkey, don't embarrass yourself, okay? You must be upright at this occasion. Jiang Yunhe coughed lightly to remind him. He was very glad in his heart. Although he and Jiang Tian got to know each other through fighting, he had never betrayed Jiang Tian since then. No wait, come on, pinch me. Let me see if I'm dreaming. Jiang Haishan still couldn't believe it. He knew that he had made the right bet this time. He had made a big profit. Soon, Jiang Tian would definitely clean up a group of people and put a group of people in important positions. But there were too few people who were loyal to Jiang Tian from the beginning to the end, and there were too few people who could be used. He was at least the city lord of a big city. At this time, thousands of sects surrendered, and the golden core perfected immortals knelt on the ground. Jiang Tian had his hands behind his back. His eyes swept across the crowd, especially staring at the 3 veteran golden cores. Xiaobai, these 3 veteran golden core cultivators used to be your disciples and betrayed you. It's up to you to decide whether to kill or keep them. Jiang Tian said lightly. Bai Zai's face flashed with a few vicissitudes of life and complexity. He seemed to think of the past and was a little angry, but also a little regretful. Finally, he took a deep breath and respectfully clasped his fists. My lord, you are now the master of this continent. This matter should be decided by you. Everything should proceed from the overall situation. Personal grudges are just small matters. Xiaobai, you have a good view of the overall situation. Jiang Tian patted his shoulder. He had made up his mind, and his sharp eyes fell on the 3 veteran golden cores. Chapter 964. He could have killed the 3 golden core perfected immortals and absorbed their golden cores to improve his cultivation. However, they were not Jiang Tian's sworn enemies, nor were they the masterminds who attacked Earth and plotted against Jiang Tian. Therefore, in the end, Jiang Tian chose not to kill them but to use them temporarily. You want to surrender? Jiang Tian looked at the heavenly star overlords and said, Sure. But I don't trust you. You have to sign a divine soul contract with me. Back then, the martial arts families like Qin Zhong had surrendered, but under the coercion of the Heavenly Star Palace, they joined the Heavenly Star domain and became his enemy. Jiang Tian wouldn't make the same mistake twice. We're willing. The 3 golden core perfected immortals agreed without hesitation. The other overlords also bowed and kowtowed. They knew that Jiang Tian's black divine sense was terrifying and powerful. Once they signed a divine soul contract, they would have to submit to Jiang Tian for life. However, they had no other choice at this moment. Swish, 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 swish. Jiang Tian's divine sense burst out and the black sticky soul devourer danced in the air like tentacles. Hundreds of them went into the minds of hundreds of sect masters and city lords, leaving a soul devourer divine sense clone. Leaders of the Heavenly Star Palace and the 3 major sects, come and see me at the Heavenly Star Palace. The other small forces can come and watch the ceremony. There are some things I need to tell you. Jiang Tian stepped into the air and flew to the Heavenly Star Palace. Great Demon Bai Zai immediately followed. The Heavenly Star Palace was even more magnificent than Qingqiu Mountain. It was like a palace of immortals, dazzling and filled with spirit qi. The next day, in the Alcade Palace, Jiang Tian sat on the dragon throne on the stage like a majestic immortal emperor. He looked down at the audience with disdain. Behind him, Yitanren, Bai Zai, Jiang Haishan, Ding Lai, Ding Lingdang, Xiao Yingluo, Xiao Beishan and Jiang Yunhe stood respectfully. Greetings, perfected immortal Jiang. Greetings, ruler Heaven Star. Below the platform, the leaders of the various sects and city lords, led by the 3 golden core perfected immortals, knelt on the ground nervously and didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Many masters of aristocratic families, leaders of gangs and sects, such as the leaders of the Crushing Sky Mercenaries and Flying Rainbow Bounty Hunters, sighed with emotion in their hearts. Before this, the Starry Sky Palace, the 3 great sects, and the 4 great cities were high and mighty in their hearts. They were like gods that suppressed this continent. And now, those experienced golden core perfected immortals were all worshipping Jiang Tian, which had completely changed their impression of him. Jiang Tian first took out a boat-shaped magical artifact that was dozens of meters long. This is? Everyone was surprised. It was unknown what kind of metal or crystal this boat-shaped magic artifact was made from, but it shone brilliantly and suffused with multicolored light. It was densely covered with Dao markings and talismans, and one could tell with a single glance that it was absolutely not an ordinary item. I found it in Li Longyuan's bedroom. Jiang Tian smiled faintly and snorted coldly. This is a spaceship that Li Longyuan spent countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures to build. All these years, he has plundered this world, but not for the safety of the heavenly star small world. Those flowery words and grand plans were just to fool you all. He wants to leave this world alone and go to the ruins of deity. Or even further away. And you can only stay here and wait for your deaths. Then, Jiang Tian extracted a piece of memory from Li Longyuan's divine soul and displayed it to everyone with the divine art of mental visualization. It was the scene of him and Li Qingxian plotting. In fact, Li Longyuan indeed did not want to completely fix the collapsed array formations. That was just his name. His plan was to take the sect master of the Qingxian sect and leave this continent that was about to collapse. That little bastard. He even fooled me. Before he could even finish reading, Yuan Zihua had already started cursing furiously. Perfected immortal Jiang, what are we going to do with this spaceship? Master Kuhai asked with a smile. Who didn't want to go to the ruins of deity? It was said that it was the real sacred ground for cultivation. Also, this continent could only last for 300 years. After that, it would completely collapse. Jiang Tian also wanted to go to the ruins of deity. Jiang Tian would definitely leave this spaceship behind and wait for the right time to fly to the ruins of deity. Bang! Jiang Tian snapped his fingers and smashed the spaceship into pieces. Many crystals and treasure metals fell to the ground. Perfected immortal Jiang. Why? Everyone exclaimed. Master Kuhai's face was full of regret. Jiang Tian had destroyed their only chance to escape. But don't you understand? A bunch of idiots. Bai Zhe grumbled angrily. Even if the spaceship can be used, how many people can it take? 1, 2? At most 10 people. If we leave, what will happen to the millions of humans and monsters in this world? Wait for death? His eyes were red. He wiped his tears and said, Immortal Master Jiang is telling us with his actions that he wants to rule the heavenly star small world with everyone and save millions of lives. That's right. Jiang Tian said lightly. We have used up all our resources. If we want to build another spaceship like this, we will need at least 500 years of hard work. I have cut off everyone's hopes. I will also cut off your hopes. Everyone in this continent can only survive if we rule this continent well. Escaping is impossible. I see. Perfected immortal Jiang's breadth of mind and courage is really admirable. The 3 veteran golden core cultivators sighed at their inferiority and knelt down one after another, their faces full of reverence. Perfected immortal Jiang, we are willing to work together. We will work together with the humans and monsters to save this world. Everyone was moved to tears and kowtowed one after another. Look at his cultivation level. How could Li Longyuan compare to him? He was a human from the Earth domain, but his breadth of mind was bigger than the Milky Way and the stars. He was concerned about the stellar sky domain. He had the chance to escape, but he didn't. My master's big brother is so black-bellied and shameless. Perhaps this is the requirement to become a dominator. Bai Zhe touched his chin, thinking that perfected immortal Jiang's ability to deceive people was also top-notch. Back then, he had worn his little clothes and he had not taken them off yet. Now, all the higher-ups of the heavenly star small world were wearing his little clothes. In fact, he and Jiang Tian had discovered this spaceship together. However, based on their rich refining experience, they had come to the same conclusion. The spaceship's materials were not bad, but Li Longyuan's refining skills were average. He had wasted a heavenly treasure and destroyed the spaceship. There was no way to cross space. There was also no possibility of repairing or reusing it. If it was useful, Jiang Tian and Bai Zhe, who had always dreamed of conquering the Sea of Stars, would have been the first to drive it away. It was useless even if Jiang Tian did not destroy it. However, at this time, Jiang Tian combined Li Longyuan's memories and acted like this to win over the hearts of the people. After all, Jiang Tian's soul-devouring technique was not completely unbreakable. Perhaps even a nascent soul-old monster could break it. Only by completely conquering their hearts could he ensure that they would never betray him. Breaking a piece of trash had moved them so much and made them so loyal. Jiang Tian was quite satisfied. Sometimes, the best way was to attack their hearts. Enslavement was from the heart. Earth is the homeland of the ruins of immortals and many hidden sections. 10,000 years ago, we were one family. You all need to respect and be close to us. After Jiang Tian became a dominator, he gave his first order. From now on, you are not allowed to offend Earth at all. You have to protect Earth as your responsibility. Jiang Tian's voice fell. That's right. I strongly opposed it back then and even criticized Li Longyuan many times for attacking Earth. However, I didn't expect that after I went into hibernation, he would still act recklessly. He really deserves to be cut into pieces. Daoist Master Kunling was the first to stand up and express his righteous indignation. We will respect perfected immortal Zhang's order and carry it out unswervingly. Yuan Zihua and Master Kuhai also quickly expressed their opinions. The Sky Palace, the Giant Sword Sect, the Demon Subduing Temple and many other sects came from Monster King Bai Zhe. After all, they belonged to the Heavenly God sect. Jiang Tian said slowly, "You shouldn't forget your ancestors and betray your sect. You shouldn't fight with the monsters again. From now on, humans and monsters should put aside their differences and guard this continent and millions of people together. The Heavenly God sect will be rebuilt. Bai Zhe will be the sect master and many sects in the world will worship him. What do you think? We will follow perfected immortal Zhang's order. We dare not disobey the orders of the Heavenly Star Ruler." No one dared to object and immediately agreed. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.